Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Irish Breakdown Podcast. I'm Vince, that's Trevor, that's Brian. We'll get the niceties out of the way. It's the first day of camp, and we're all pretty fired up about it. And we had a chance to watch practice, and we were there from start to finish, got to see it all, and we are excited to let you all know what we thought, what we saw, all of the above, and clearly everything we're going to talk about will make or break the entire season. So I want everybody on pins and needles as we're speaking.
Vince speaks for himself, not the official Irish Breakdown podcast. That is not the stance of Irish Breakdown or our podcast. That is Vince D'Addario. Send all hate mail to him for that comment, please.
Oh man, no, but it was a good day. The heat finally broke around here, so it was actually a perfect day for practice as far as the temperature is concerned. The sun was kind of gone. It was beautiful outside. It was beautiful.
Angela was like, because you know how Angela's hustling the first
100%,
period, man, doing photos.
Yep.
And she's like, I am so glad it was nice outside today because
it was great.
It was a beautiful day.
It was great, and
a little windy, just
yes. And the second best part of practice was watching Trevor's face the entire time. And watching him enjoy his first full day of fall camp. And that was awesome. That was I had to hold him back at one point because he wanted to jump into a defensive line drill,
It's like, Trev, they don't let you do that, man. Calm down.
But it was good.
The worst part was when we started booing the one call by Mike I'm totally kidding. No, Trev had a good day. That was a great first day, man. I'm excited. I mean, it was a lot of fun to be out there, seeing the guys running around. Not as many guys out today.
Correct.
Remember last year, Vince, when there was they were 3 deep waiting in line for the bike, last year on first day fall camp of all the injured guys. This year, I mean, I think it was Patojo, Flanagan, and Jagasol, the only guys that I noticed that were out today. So it's great.
And one was not quite as out as the other ones,
correct.
That was a good thing to see too, and we'll get to that. Yeah. But no, it was a very typical Marcus Freeman type practice, guys. High tempo, high energy. Guys were getting where they needed to go. The periods were quick. They were getting things accomplished. Again, a very typical Marcus Freeman practice that we have come to understand and see. So it was really good, Brian.
It was a good day at work. It was a good day of work in all phases. We just saw some special teams. It's like we're sitting there. Vince is like kind of half paying attention, and all of a sudden they start lining up for field goals, and he's like, "All right, let's go. Let's chart all these." But no, it was a good day. It's a good day. Saw some good, saw some things they're gonna have to get worked on.
Sure.
Just a general annual reminder. Be careful, to not read too much into who won early practices, offense, defense. We say this every year. If the defense is not ahead of the offense the first week of practice, it's going to be a rough year for your defense in almost all exceptions. I was telling Trev beforehand, the last 2 times I remember the offense really being ahead of the defense early in fall camp. It was 2017 when that offensive line was just opening up gaping holes for the running backs. And then when we realized they were just going to kind of do that all year on everybody they played. And then in 18, when Julian Love just could not cover Miles Boykin or Chase Claypool, he went on to be a unanimous All-American. It worked out. We found, those guys are really good. But really good first day of work. And for the most part, guys, it went how I think I expected it to go. But it was just fun being out there and seeing this team in action again and getting it's the only full practice we're going to get all camp. So it was nice to see that and enjoy that. So
Trev, I want to get your overall thoughts since this was your first one and kind of just I'm going to let you go wherever you want to go with this thing, but your overall thoughts of practice today.
It was everything I hoped it would be. No, it was a good practice. Vince, to your point, it was what you would expect from a Marcus Freeman practice. Everything was intentional. It was very high intensity. Everybody was on the hop to the point where I looked at you at one point during individual period and I was like, do they just always move this quickly? I mean, they were moving quicker than I was able to write things down of who was going through what drill was happening, and who was paired up with who. And so it was a really good practice. I was, again, definitely kid in the candy store type of vibe for sure. But a lot of good takeaways. Again, also takeaways with a grain of salt. I know we're going to talk about this throughout the show today. It's the first one. They just had essentially 3 months off of football activities, on the field, doing stuff together as a team. And so you could see the rust starting to shake off on certain sides of the ball. But a lot of good things happening today. And then there was also some things that just kind of build out the foundation for what you need to continue to work on the rest of fall camp.
Yeah, I love it, Vince, because I've joked about this in the past, but I've always said every year this is the roller coaster coaches go on. Last couple weeks of the off season, and usually the first few days of the of camp, you're like, dude, we're going to be so good this year. And then by middle of fall camp, you're like, I don't think we're going to beat anybody this year. And then you're in shape. That's just kind of how camp goes.
Well, and it's funny because the first day you're so fired up to be out there, like everybody, and at times you kind of overlook the mistakes, and then at times it's like, why isn't this perfect on day one?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't we perfect?
Right.
Like, what is happening right now?
Right.
And so you kind of ride that roller coaster of emotions as a coach.
Yeah.
And then of course they're not even in full pads, like they're running around and they got a helmet on, and that's it. You know what I mean?
You know what I've noticed though? Here's an observation that I made this past 2 years. They're more physical in the first couple of days than they've been in the past because of those
little half pad thingies.
Yeah. We'll talk about this with the offense, but I definitely noticed that with the offensive line today.
In the trenches,
that they get after it a little bit more than they did in the past because they have a little bit more protection there.
Just for people that are out there that have played high school football or coached high school football or been around football in any way, it felt to me more like a practice in shells than it was a practice with just helmets.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like they had shoulder pads on.
For shells are just shoulder pads
and helmets.
Which nowadays shells are basically full pads because with skill players, because they don't wear lower body pads. But yeah, the way that it works, just so people understand, for fall camp is I believe the first 3 days are still just no pads. Day 4, they get to go uppers, which is just shoulder pads, and then day 5 is the first day of full pads. That's just NCAA mandated how it has to go.
Yep.
Used to be where you'd have the first 3 days. I mean, you started 2 days right away. When I was played, it was 2 days right away. Then they got to where it was, I think it was the first 5 days were solos, and then you have to rotate 2 a days, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Now it's just one practice a day. And so those are all different aspects of it. But overall, I thought it was a good practice, Vince. I thought one thing, there was a lot of communication today on both sides of the ball. That's a good sign for your team. A lot of barking. This was the most, well, I'll wait till we get to the positions, but I thought that was another good observation from practice today. But I think that's a good opening. I'm ready to kind of jump into the offense if you guys are ready to dive into more specifics. Anything else, Vince?
Yeah, just real quick, I wanted to talk a little bit about how they set up practice. So that what they do now is we're all outside, okay, and they have 2 fields outside, and what I call the middle field, but it's the far field outside. They have 2 fields outside. They have 1 field inside. So the far field is the younger guys. And so it's the freshmen,
or backups,
sophomores, or backups, or walk on. You know, they're kind of over far away from us. And then the starters and the twos are right in front of us. So we were able to watch a little bit more closely when they went to 7-on-7 and they went to team the starters. So if you're wondering about how certain freshmen did and things like that, we just didn't really have an opportunity to see that. It was more
not as much,
during the team periods, 7-on-7 and full team.
Which I think is great for the team because, and the reason that's so much more effective now is because you do have so many more coaches now.
Correct.
And so, like, there's like 3 different guys working with the offensive line during individual.
Yep.
Which means one of those guys can go down there and work with the offensive line during that other team period. You've got multiple receiver assistants. You've got multiple D-line assistants. You've got analysts and things like that are now allowed to be part of the football practice, which I never understood, like why you didn't let people like that be around the team. It's good for the players. It's great for the players as opposed to, because Vince, what used to be 3-4 years ago, and this isn't a shot at Brian Kelly. This is how it was for most teams because you didn't have enough coaches.
Yeah, exactly.
To have a second team, you couldn't just let 2 GAs go down there and run it. But like under Kelly, for example, it was the first team, second team, and then like working in. But then all the other guys are standing around on the sideline doing nothing.
Correct.
And as the NCAA, and again, that's not a shot at the previous. That's all they could do because you weren't allowed to have analysts. Weren't supposed to be involved in practice.
Go ahead. I was going to say, do you remember when we went down to Culver, I think the most recent time, they took all the young kids behind the press box to like a grass field.
Yeah.
And it was literally the two GAs were trying to run
in like walkthroughs.
Correct.
It was a train wreck. It was a train wreck.
That's the point I was trying to make. Like they didn't have the adults.
And that's not the fault of the staff.
100%.
With the NCAA allowing more GAs, more analysts, the analysts are allowed to be with that. You can now hire as many analysts as you want. So this is a great move for young players because they can now get work. So while we're watching CJ and Kenny take reps on one field, Blake Hebert, Tyler Buckner are getting quarterback reps on the other field, and Anthony Rizak, and now everybody's working. And I think that's just great for young people. I'm glad they finally made that decision the last couple of years. Especially, I think is this the first year that analysts are legally allowed to to work with it. So it's just it's a great move.
And we saw it in action. Like there were multiple analysts out there. There were multiple
And then Joe Rudolph will have a chance to go back and watch the young offensive linemen on film.
Correct.
Mike Denbrock can go watch the young tight ends. Al Wash can go watch the young D line. So you're getting so much more work now. It's great for the young people. So but it's harder for us to see that because we're on the far side of the field. Then there's the one field, and then there's a space between, and then a second field. And they're on that far second field. So it's like, okay, we won't have a shot to break that down. But let's that's good note, Vince.
Just want to put that out there in case people were curious about certain freshmen and things like that.
And you can't possibly evaluate 100 guys in one day at one practice.
No, we tried. We're close. But no, let's jump into the offense and kind of give our overall thoughts on the offense. And I do want to preface all of our offensive talk with the fact that generally offenses are behind defenses when you start camp. That is an expectation. And when that's not the case, things are different when the season rolls around. So I just want to put that out there. Now, there were times where the offense was dominant and there were times when they were dominated, so it was a give and take.
That's what you want at practice. You don't want one side of the ball just whooping the other side all day. That's never a good sign. Well, it's rarely a good sign. The only time I ever saw that where it turned out to be okay was the 2017 offensive line just destroyed the 2017 defense every single day that we were at practice.
Yes.
And I remember asking Mike Elko about it, and he was like, he goes, yeah, man, he goes, I'm not actually that worried about it because, like, that's the best offensive line I've seen or something along those lines. And he turned out to be right. Like, when they got to play other teams that aren't their offensive line, they look pretty decent.
Right.
That year was a little bit different. But you remember that year, Vince? Like, they're just ripping off like 50-yard run after 50-yard run.
We got a lot more access to practice back then. And so we saw it a lot.
Yeah. Like, dude, Josh Adams going to run for 2,500 yards this year if this is how it turns out during the season, because he was like 50-yard touchdown run, 50-yard touchdown run, 70-yard touchdown run. And it was like, good Lord.
Yeah.
This defense is going to be terrible. And they were fine. But that's rare. And then remember that, like I said, the year that Julian Love just could not cover. I mean, they're just throwing back shoulder after back shoulder over Julian Love to Chase Claypool and Miles Boykin, and you realize, now he's pretty good. It's just these guys are freaks. Yeah, they're really good. So, so let's dive into the offense, guys. I thought overall sloppy first day for the offense, just as a whole. Just a lot of those day one mistakes that drive you nuts as a coach on day one, but you work past it. Like, there was a play where they had 3 receivers, a tight end, and 2 running backs out on the field. Like, we were joking before the show. I was like, I think this is like a shout out to like Father David and our other Trevor Rocket, our Canadian friends. Like, we're gonna give you guys a CFL snap, with 12 people, but no, it wasn't correct. There was times like late they had to run people on and off because the right personnel wasn't in there. I think the first play they had to run over again. Remember that one? There was a period where they ran it and they're like, play one again.
No, because like the start,
the left side of the line didn't go or went too soon or something like that. So
they stopped the play immediately.
Yeah, just a lot of sloppiness in day one, which again is not abnormal. Maybe a little bit more than, but it's not unexpected. So it's not something that you freak out about. You get on them as an offensive coach, but you're not in your office like, oh my God, we're going to suck this year. Right. You're just like, we got to get on the same page. And, and when that doesn't happen is usually when you have a veteran quarterback that's been like, you didn't see that in like 2019 fall camp when you had 4 starting offensive linemen coming back, your quarterback coming back with the same the cadence that everybody's used to. That stuff happens early on. So we did see some of that. But overall, I thought it was a competitive day for the offense, and that's what I care a little bit more than I do about execution. As a coach on day one, execution matters. Technique matters. You're always emphasizing those things. But the biggest thing you want to see on day one, and this is true for both sides of the ball, is you saw guys competing, getting after it, battling, especially in the trenches on both sides of the ball. There were certain matchups that I think the offensive line or the offense got the better of the defense in a couple of situations, but by and large, obviously day to day. But you guys said I wasn't freaking out after practice. Like, oh my God, the offense is going to be terrible. It was just kind of, this is what you expect. It's what you expect in day one. But the one thing you want to take away was the effort there, was the competitiveness there, and you certainly saw that today with really both sides, and we definitely saw that from the offensive line or the offensive side of the ball. They got a lot to clean up as expected. This is why you get 25 to 28 practices before the first game, is to work through all this kind of stuff. But overall, I thought it was a good day of work for the Notre Dame offense as far as just getting after it, competitive. But obviously there's going to be a lot for Mike Denbrock and Joe Rudolph and Mike Brown and Jaywan Sider to work through. And we'll go nice position by position, but we just big picture. I thought that was important.
Well, it's nice to have film now that they can actually use. Like, hey, we just did this morning. Let's talk about what happened and how we can fix it, and all of those kinds of things. So it's good to have, like, you can always go back and watch film from last year and do all of those things, throughout the summer. But now you've got film of this year, and now you can use it, and you can learn from it, and you can plan your next practice based off all of those different things. So all of those things are good, and I agree with you. I think it was a good day overall. And yes, there were mistakes, but that is completely expected. So let's jump into some position groups, and I know people want to know about quarterbacks, so we're going to go ahead and start with the quarterbacks and talk about what we saw. And again, Brian was over with the offense during the individual periods while Trevor and I were over with the defense. And so I'm going to throw it to Brian because he may have some things on some of the quarterbacks that are lower down on the depth chart.
No, I mean, nothing. I mean, the focus today is going to be on CJ and Kenny. I mean, it was nice to see Tyler Buckner with the quarterbacks today. Saw him throw a couple balls, and you're like, man, I know that throwing motion, and saw obviously Blake Hebert out there. He has a cannon for an arm, but the big thing is going to be talking about what we saw from CJ and Kenny. I thought during Indy they were fine. We saw CJ out there early during special teams throwing, working on balls. We were up top. This was when we were still inside, and he's throwing from the 40, and the receivers are catching around the 5, and he's just throwing ropes. And then we got out to individual, and I thought Kenny was throwing the ball well, live, coming out of his hand well. CJ was throwing the ball well. Another thing I noticed is CJ's got a lot more zip on the ball than he did in the spring. And it's there's two reasons for it. Number one is obviously he's a year older. He's not a freshman anymore.
Yep.
And you could see it. He's just thicker. He's filled out. He's stronger. Kenny physically looks about the same, and he didn't make as much of a jump, but it's similar to the jump Kenny made from 23 to 24. That first full year in the weight room, you start to see you fill out, your body gets in good shape, and the ball. And then the second reason is obviously he's now, it was about 9 months removed from the elbow injury he had last year. I thought the ball was really jumping out of his hand today, and that was obviously good to see. They both looked like it was their first official practice of two guys battling for a starting job. Little bit of rust as far as command of the offense. I think the quarterback is going to be a reason why at times not everybody's on the same page. There were a couple times where I thought the first team offense didn't have the right personnel and the quarterback wasn't recognizing it. That's something that obviously has to get addressed. I think that happened once with the second team as well. We saw Kenny take the first team reps today. CJ took second team reps, which we expected. And then I would assume tomorrow they'll probably change it up. That's just kind of how it always goes during quarterback battles. But if Steve Angeli was still here, he would have taken the first reps today. But overall, I thought they both – you could just tell like there was some jitters from both of the quarterbacks today, which is to be expected. We'll talk about Kenny first, then we'll go CJ and just go about it that way. So when you look at Kenny's practice, I thought he had an okay day. I mean, neither guy was great today. Kenny had the early pick. That was earned 7-on-7. He drops back. They're running a roll coverage like we've seen. It looked a lot like that play against Virginia. Micah Gilbert's running a deep end cut. He sees him, he reads it, and as soon as he goes like this, Adon Schuler just flies downhill and robs it. Great play by Adon. Kenny never saw him. The ball came out late. I thought that was the biggest issue that Kenny had today. He was late a lot today. And that's why he had some of the misses he had. Threw a go route to Jordan Faison that I thought was just late, and he threw it out of bounds. Great coverage by Christian Gray on that. I think that was the only time I saw a ball thrown at Christian Gray all day was that go route. Great coverage. He was right in perfect phase with Faison. Faison caught it, but he caught it out of bounds because Christian Gray had him on the sideline down the field, and then Kenny just threw it late and out of bounds. So I thought that was sort of an issue with Kenny today. It was late a lot. The windows were real tiny today because that's an elite secondary, and he just wasn't getting the ball out. So a lot of check downs, a lot of short throws today. I thought the two best throws Kenny made, he made a really nice in cut to Kevin Bauman, who beat Luke Talich. Was that 7-on-7 or team? That was during a team period, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the first team period. And then he also had a really nice ball to Micah Gilbert. No, it was Micah Gilbert also on an in cut. Really nice coverage. I thought he zipped it in there really nicely. And then the other good play that Kenny made is Vince goes, I think that was a screen. And we're like, nah, bruh, that wasn't a screen. I can understand why you think that because there's two guys coming unblocked, but that was not a screen.
Yeah.
But on that play, I thought Kenny did a great job of seeing a guy unblocked off the edge and knowing, okay, if he's unblocked off the edge, that means who's running with the back. So he just dumps a little swing pass to Jadarian Price, who probably gains 10, 12 yards on that play if they were allowed to tackle. That's you want to see stuff like that. Like, look, O-line had a mistake. Let's get that ball out. I thought CJ had a couple plays like that too. But I thought those were the three best plays from Kenny. He just wasn't letting it go down the field a whole lot because the only other deep shot he took was another go route on the opposite side to Faison that Luke Talich was all over. And that's a common theme from practice today is the DBs were in great coverage for a big chunk of the practice. But I thought overall, guys, it was an okay day from Kenny. And I just felt that he was rushing a lot today. And so like him being late on reads, I felt like because he was kind of going away from certain things a little too quickly at times. And then a couple times I thought he locked in on a guy too soon and then was late getting back to his secondary read. So he would just take the checkdowns, crossings, checkdowns by the backs. I think it's like that. That was my observations from Kenny on day one. You guys got anything else to add to that one?
No, I echo a lot of the same stuff that you did. Mostly just you could tell it was the first day of camp for two young and experienced guys battling it out for the starting quarterback position at Notre Dame. So I'm with you.
Let's go to CJ. It was an interesting day for CJ. I thought he had probably he had two of the three biggest mistakes today. Also had, I think, the 3 or 4 best throws of the day. So it was an up and down day for CJ. I thought he started off well in 7-on-7. I thought he was sharp. I thought he was throwing the ball with some accuracy, completed his first couple throws, hit a nice little option route to Jeremiah Love in space that went for a really nice play. He would have completed his first, I think he completed his first 5 or 6 passes in 7-on-7 if it wasn't for Kevin Bauman running the wrong route. Denbrock jumped all over him too, man. He was supposed to go out, and CJ starts telling him, like, you're supposed to work out.
Yeah, he only had 5 throws, and he was 4 or 5. So.
Right, and then that was that one miss. When we got the team, first throw he made, he's trying to hit a post route to Micah Gilbert. Now, I thought Micah actually had a couple steps on, I think it was it Tree Thomas or was it Mark Zachary? I can't remember who the corner was on that play. But Micah was open, and CJ tries to throw a deep ball. He had 2 mistakes he made on the play. Number one is he threw it off his back foot because Jared Dawson, who had a day, was coming in his face. So he throws it off his back foot, and he was throwing it into the wind. It was bad situational awareness.
It floated and hung up.
And it died up. I think Bronte still picks it off. He didn't see Bronte coming over, and Bronte flew deep and dove and picked it off. So at first I thought, dude, that's going to be a big play. And then
Bronte said it just out loud.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Oh, that's huge.
You're like,
I didn't know that.
Great. You go, oh, great read. And then
I said, this is going to be a big play.
Yeah.
And then Bronte just comes flying out from underneath it. Because I didn't think the ball was going to hang like it did.
Right.
But when the ball was thrown, Micah Gilbert was behind everybody. And then it just hung up, and Bronte made a great play on it.
Yep.
His second pick, he saw it the whole way. He saw Bronte right there, and he tries to throw it over Bronte into the in cut. And then Bronte, it's like, dude, he's almost 6'3", and he's a basketball player.
Yeah.
Bronte just goes up and snatches it out of the air.
Listen, he climbed the ladder.
Phenomenal play. And now the mistake CJ made is you got to lead that curl into the opening instead of trying to throw over Bronte. You'll learn that. And that was a big mistake. And I remember Trev looks at me because he threw a pick, I think, on his first. He threw 2 on his first possession of team. So it was like a pick, and then the next play was a run, and then a pick.
Mm-hmm.
And Trev looks at me and he goes, I'm very curious to see how he's going to respond on this next series. And on the very next series, CJ has one of the best balls of the day. Just ropes a deep end cut to Jaden Greathouse, who had beaten Carson Hobbs on a play. Jaden gets out of his break, and the ball's on him right now. And that's the one thing CJ did well today was his timing as a passer, much better than Kenny's. Made 2 bad decisions. But that one, rope. And the pass pro was very good on that play. Greathouse catches it, has a big play, goes for a big play. He hits a check down on the next play to Jabron Payne. Then he runs a QB draw, and then they run the ball, and then that's it. And then they come out the next series. He goes 3 for 3 on the next series. What was it 7-on-7 when he hit Jeremiah Love on the deep out cut for a big play?
Yeah,
was that 13?
That was one of the last plays of 7-on-7.
That's right. He rolls out, great read, great decision, finds Jeremiah open. And then he comes out on the next series. He hits a couple underthrows, and then he hits a deep out cut to the left, reads it perfectly. It's a blown coverage by Carson Hobbs. He sees it, throws a really nice ball out to the sideline for a big play. And then he had the last drive, they ran a double move type of route. Can't say specifically what it is. And Micah Gilbert got open and beat Cree Thomas, and CJ threw a perfect ball right outside before the safety could come over for a big play. Then team ended the next play with his third pick. He threw a ball outside that KK Smith did not play well, was falling down, hits his hands, floats up in the air. Carson Hobbs makes a great play on it, dives underneath it, and picks it off. And that was more of a receiver mistake than it was a quarterback mistake. But that was the day for CJ. It was up and down.
Yeah.
You had 2 plays. In both plays, he's trying to force the ball. He saw the safety both times, but he's trying to force a play. That's part of the learning experience. And then obviously Kenny threw the pick where he just didn't see Adon. So you don't want to see 4 picks from your quarterbacks in day one. But again, that's part of the learning experience from your quarterbacks. It's not too much. I'm not too worried about it, to be completely honest. You're not in day one. Now, if they're making those same mistakes in 2 weeks, then I get concerned about it. But I thought they both also made some plays today and made some good throws today. And I thought the thing that I was surprised by, CJ made 2 really nice throws on the run, and there were some designed runs for him today as well. And I thought he looked pretty quick.
The QB draw was an interesting one too.
Great call.
Yeah,
great call.
And then they also had it was a draw. No, it wasn't a draw. It was a read. And
mid-zone read,
and went to the outside. Now, good defensive play on the outside, but
that would have been about a 5-yard gain.
Yeah, but he got out there quickly. I think he dispelled some,
But the second pick was just a phenomenal play by Bronte Johnson.
I mean, he climbed the ladder, dude.
Well, and I don't blame CJ for wanting to throw it because of the outcut that he banged to Jeremiah Love. He dumped that out route over Jaden Ausberry.
Yeah. Yeah, right over top of Jaden Ausberry.
Bronte Johnson's a little bit different in coverage than
so long.
Yeah.
I'll just say this. The intel report that I put up on the secondary last night, there was a comparison made about Bronte. And if you're a board member, check it out. And I'm like, that's some interesting praise right there. And then you go watch Bronte today and you're like, oh, I get it now. But yeah, those are the ups and downs we saw from the quarterbacks. The windows were really tight. The secondary is really good. The second team secondary looked really good. Good.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought the quarterbacks just not a great day, but not the day that I'm seeing some folks in the chat flipping out a little bit about it, but it's not quite what I expected, but not too far off from what I expected day one.
I don't mind what I saw from the quarterbacks today. To your point, Brian, I hope that, on August, 15th, we're not hearing about these same mistakes. But when you're in the midst of a quarterback battle, it's very easy to go into it and just say, I just don't want to be the guy to make the mistake today. I don't want to make the mistake. I'll just dump it down for every single rep that I have in 7-on-7 and team. And in CJ's case, he was willing to sling it around.
Mm-hmm.
I think that speaks volumes to how he's approaching this competition. Him and Kenny both. Because it would be very easy to go in and just, all right, let's just dump offs. It's the first day. Don't want to make any glaring mistakes because of some of the overreactions that's going to happen on day one.
I actually do think Kenny played a little bit that way today, where he was a little less. There was a couple throws I thought Kenny should have tried.
Yeah.
Over the middle. And he was like, nah, I'm taking the check down. But again, I get that on day one because you're not sure, okay, can I hit that throw?
Well,
or CJ was like, I'm going to try to hit that throw. And they both resulted in mistakes.
Right. And I realize you're at Notre Dame. You're used to the media presence and all that. This is the first time. This is the only time we're going to have a full practice. So there was a ton of people at this practice. You know what I mean? And it's practice number 1. And so that probably added a little bit of the that kind of crap.
But that's why I think they should let us be at more practices because
agreed. No, I completely
they
agree.
can have that way more.
This is the one time I'm going to be.
I think it was just mostly about them just getting used to the speed of on the first day camp,
right?
And up and down day, running back wise, guys, not a lot to report other than they're really talented. They did a lot of passing stuff today.
Yeah.
And so, we thought we'd see more of the running backs. We did. We saw a lot from the running backs early in fall camp last year also. Won't get into the specifics, but it's definitely, at least on day one, a concerted effort to get the backs involved in the run game. I thought Jeremiah looked like Jeremiah, made a lot of plays, especially in space. I thought Jadarian Price had a pretty good day today, too.
He looked good.
He was very decisive. He found a couple of holes that were there. I thought he ran hard today. And I'll just say this. I don't know how much we're allowed to say, but it was nice seeing Jeremiah and Jadarian on the field at the same time today. And that was nice to see.
Leave it at that.
Just nice to see.
And we've seen it in the past. So that's not putting anything out there, but it was, it was nice.
Yeah. Wide receivers, I thought looked good. Athletically, they looked good. Malachi Fields is an impressive specimen, fellas. Like, very impressive specimen. He looks, if you see him, he's a more muscular Miles Boykin. He almost looks more like Chase Claypool than he does Miles Boykin, actually. Because Chase was pretty muscular as well. If somebody wants a physical comparison, that's one that makes a lot of sense. He looked good. He's much more explosive than I thought he's going to be. In team, we didn't get a chance to see him go vertical very much. They were doing a lot more short to intermediate stuff with him today. But watching him during drills, he really comes off the line fast. Like, he's a lot more explosive than I thought, which tracks with the intel we had on him. I was impressed with Malachi today. The one thing I'll say is, other than KK, I thought the receivers caught the ball really well today when it was there. That's in drills. I didn't see it. Again, I can't watch every rep of every drill of every period, but I did not see a lot of balls getting dropped today outside of the one by KK at the end. So I thought overall they were there. They didn't do a great job with releases against the corners and some of the press man situations in 7-on-7 and team. That'll have to get cleaned up. And there's a couple post-snap switches where the timing wasn't right and they kind of banged into each other. So there was some sloppiness there in 7-on-7 and team. Athletically, this is a really athletic group of receivers. Malachi looked athletic. This is the first time we've really seen Will Pauling healthy. He's got some burst off the line. Jaden Greathouse, this is as quick as I've seen him at Notre Dame. He had a really good day today, was returning punts as well today. And we'll let Vince talk a little special teams at the end just to throw him a little bit of a bone. But I thought he was impressive. Let's see here. Jordan Faison looked like the old Jordan Faison, much more explosive than he did.
Confident. He
was
confident
because he was just banged up a lot last year.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Trey.
I thought it kind of looked like he had a little bit more armor on him too.
He did. He's filled out a little bit.
Yeah.
He looked more muscular. Yeah, he did. But he just looked like he got a little bit of that burst back. Yeah. But you also saw today, he's just not a go route guy. He just doesn't have the thing that Jordan, he's as quick off the line as anybody they have. He just doesn't have that second gear to pull away, especially against guys like Leonard Moore and Christian Gray. But quickness-wise, I thought he looked good today, caught the ball well. Elijah Burris he looked like he did in the spring. We saw Micah Gilbert had a really nice day today. He probably made more plays than anybody at receiver. I mean, he was open on the post route that CJ underthrew, the ball hung up, we talked about. But if CJ could have stepped into that and maybe it wasn't windy, that probably is 6 because Micah was open. He had that double move for the big play late, caught the ball well. He had a couple hitch routes that he had to work downhill to get outside the coverage. Although he had a pretty good day. And just overall, I thought Micah Gilbert was probably the most productive player today. I thought him and CJ showed a pretty nice kind of rapport. But then Kenny hit him on a play over the middle as well. So I thought Micah had a really nice day. They were working guys in first and second team. So, like, the guys that were on second team were also getting work on the first team, which was good to see.
Yep.
But overall, I'd say the DBs got the win today, but this unit competed, and that was good to see. Tight end, they were okay. Check downs. Kevin Bauman had the mistake we talked about, but also had a nice win over Luke Talich on an cut, just worked over. Kenny did a nice job of leading him into the open zone, hit him for a nice 10 to 12 yard gain. Overall, tight ends, they were okay. They were okay. Trev, I didn't really notice anything. We didn't see a ton of Eli Raritan today. It was a lot of check down type stuff for them. We didn't see them turn loose, which, again, guys, you don't have your whole repertoire available on day one. You're breaking in certain schemes on day one. We saw 2 run concepts or 3 run concepts today from them. That's it. We saw 4 or 5 pass concepts today, just kind of over and over again, because it's day one, you're installing stuff. And I thought overall, I thought, didn't see a ton from them, but I thought nobody looked in bad shape. Everybody looked in good shape. Saw Jack Larson got a lot of work today. That's the one guy. It's one thing that I did notice is Jack got a lot of work today, including a little bit with the first group when they were rotating the second group in with the first group. So,
yeah, I mean, outside of what you talked about for the tight ends, it was nice to see them out there healthy. It was nice to see Kevin Bauman not out there in his as we joke, his RoboCop outfit.
Yeah, he didn't have as much stuff on today.
Yeah.
Because remember in the spring, guys, he had a sleeve on one leg. He had he had something sticking out like that was on his shoulder out of one arm. He had elbow pads. He had stuff on his arm. He looked like a walking wounded guy.
He looked like a hockey goalie.
Normal today, yeah. He looked normal today, and I thought he moved around pretty well. I mean, he had the mistake on the route. That's going to happen on day one. But I thought Kevin moved. This is as well as he's moved in years.
Yeah.
So that was nice to see. Ty Washington looked like a guy in his first practice at Notre Dame. Very unsure of what he was doing today. He looked like a freshman, which, again, is to be expected. It's one thing to do it with no pads on during the summer. It's another thing to go out there and do it when it's 11 on 11. But he looked. That's kind of how he looked today. So
agreed.
Those are my tight ends.
I just wanted to say, because we haven't seen Malachi Fields, I just wanted to get my thoughts on. We were watching, the defense, and I would always peek over at the offense and see what was going on. And Trevor and I were both like, "Oh, look at Zero! Oh my goodness!" Like he is put together. Like he is
0 and 9 when they're on the same side of the field together.
Yes.
You're like, "Holy moly!" That's Malachi and Eli Raritan. Eli Raritan is filled out.
Yes, let's go red zone, baby. Like I was, and I like what they're. I'm not going to get into details, but I like what they're doing with Malachi Fields, and I think that he's going to be a weapon for them in more ways than one. You know what I mean? He's not just going to be the back shoulder guy, that kind of a deal. I think he's athletic. I think he's big and strong, and they're going to be able to do some stuff with him. And they kind of did some stuff with him today, but I like what I saw from Malachi Fields, and he was one of the guys that I was really paying attention to because we didn't get to see him in the spring. And so I was very impressed with what I saw from Zero. Very impressed.
Agree. I think that's a different looking when they go with their 2x2 looks where they've got the tight end and the X into the boundary. You see those two guys next to each other. You're like, that's a couple massive dudes.
Yeah.
And Bo Collins wasn't small, but
Correct.
Malachi's noticeably bigger.
In all weight, like he's just a bigger dude, like just bigger frame, the whole deal. So and I'm not comparing him to Bo in this for this comment, but he carries himself like an alpha receiver. Like that's
like
what
a big guy.
today.
Yeah.
You know what
like
I mean?
a big guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He just carries himself with confidence and attacks the football when it's in the air. And I'm excited to see kind of where he goes with his maturation process with Notre Dame and in this offense. But day one, he gets a big check mark from me.
I'm going to say something that's different than we normally say.
Oh.
Normally, we talk a lot about the skill players, and then we just move right into, little side comments about the offensive line. Because in the past, it's hard to really evaluate the play of the line when they don't have pads on. But I want to talk about the offensive line today.
We can evaluate them today.
Because, number one, I spent a good chunk of the first part of practice. You had the D-line on this field and the O-line on this field, and they're both in the same end zone. So I'm like standing there like, oh, this is so amazing. I can watch the D-line and the O-line going through drills. The first team line was what we thought it would be. And second team line, I put some notes on the board, a couple little things. I did notice they had Will Black playing left guard today, which I didn't quite understand why he wasn't playing tackle, but maybe he did down with the young team down there. But I got to say, guys, obviously O-line's going to win some, D-line's going to win some, but just overall, this is as good of a day one practice that I've seen from the offensive line in a while. Like a while. Probably since 2018 or 2017. Now, I say that because I don't remember if we got fall camp access in 2020, Vince. Did we get any fall camp access in 2020? I can't remember.
Oh, man. Not much. Not much. I remember being, we did. We did because you weren't, or was that 2021?
No, that's 2021 when
okay.
I wasn't there.
I don't know that we did.
Thank God, because I wouldn't have wanted to watch that tragedy in practice every day. So I don't think we got a lot of fall camp access in 2020 because of the COVID stuff.
Yep.
So I don't remember that. I don't remember my impression of that line in fall camp. Maybe we did, and just because it was such a crazy time, I forgot. But it's not now. I'm not saying they're as good as the 2017 O-line. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is the most notable first day of practice that I've seen from the line in a while, where I'm not really paying attention to them, but I can't help but notice them. That's what you want to see from a lineman on day one. Is I wasn't trying to pay attention to Jared Dawson on defense, but I kept noticing him. And I wasn't trying to pay attention to the offensive line as much, but you couldn't help but notice them. That is exactly what you want to see on day one. Now, again, this is day one, guys. Day one. Tomorrow they may go out there and be terrible. But I thought they looked good today. And I'll say this. This is the third year we've seen Joe Rudolph at practice. This is the most animated I've ever seen him. He was fired up today. And he's always been, coaches and all that, but he was chewing some booties out today and really getting after it today with the linemen during individual. And he was very animated today. Like and animated in a way where it wasn't a frustrated animated. It was I'm holding y'all to a higher standard type of animated. And I'm not trying to read into that too much, but that's just the vibe I got I didn't get that the last 2 years from him. And so he was a little fired up today. So that was really nice to see. And I thought his offensive line kind of backed that up. I thought the best offensive linemen that I saw today, the two best offensive linemen I saw today were the two left guys on the first team, Billy Schrouth and Anthony Knapp. I thought Anthony Knapp had a great day. And I thought Emil Wagner was pretty good as well. Ashton Craig, a little rusty, with a couple things, couple late snaps, but overall, athletically, he looked great. I thought he moved around real well. Vince, you could probably talk a little bit more about that. But I thought the tackles, the big thing for me is they both look noticeably thicker. They have, and I haven't updated the roster yet, but when I will, you'll see that I have on there that they had Anthony Knapp listed at 300 pounds on the roster. I don't know if he's 300 pounds. You know, I'm not one of those people that can just look at someone and be like, no, he's probably about 302. Like I have a buddy, love him to death, but he'll call and he'll start talking about a recruit. He's like, you know, I don't know if he's 6'2". He's probably about 6'1.5". I was like, bro, you're watching huddle film. How can you possibly tell if a kid's 6'1.5" or 6'2"? Like, and you're trying to argue with me about it. I'm like, bro, I don't know how tall he is. I just know he's tall. But so I don't know how much they actually weigh or if that's an inflated rate. I will say this, Notre Dame has usually been pretty good about putting accurate weights on their roster. That's something that I've always appreciated about Notre Dame. They had both Emil Wagner and Anthony Knapp at 300 pounds. But what I will say is, whether they're 295 or 297 or 300, they both looked noticeably bigger. That was my first observation. My second observation is, okay, let me see how they move. Because not everybody can add weight and stay athletic. Guys, I thought they were really smooth in pass pro today. And there was one particular play in general that really spoke to it. But there was a play where Vince, you made the notes. Let me find it. It was an incomplete pass. Kenny threw a deep ball to Jordan Faison. Luke Touch was all over it. But he had all day to throw. He had a beautiful pocket to throw. And where the play happened, we were lined up perfectly where I could kind of look through Wagner to Knapp and see both of them in pass pro. And it was Tuihalamaka and Burnham. Burnham had a much more aggressive get off and got into Knapp pretty quickly and just hit a wall. Right? You guys remember the play we're talking about? Because I remember Trev looked at me. He's like, dude, Anthony Knapp against Josh Burnham. But he got into Knapp and hit a wall. And Knapp had a really nice base, absorbed it, and just stoned him. And then on the other side, Emil was in a kick slide. Junior was trying to give a little bit more of a move. And that was just the patience that Emil showed. But then when Junior went to hit him, the way that because remember last year, Vince, Emil would get into like leaning with his front a lot. He would kind of get his upper body ahead of his lower body, and he would kind of like he just didn't have a lot in his butt, which you need from an O lineman. And today he just locked that kick slide, that kick leg in when he was patient, let Junior do what all he was going to do, and as soon as Junior made his move, I thought Emil stepped to him nicely, really drove his hips into him, didn't get above, and just ate him up. And you're like, dude, that technically was textbook. Like, that was beautiful to see. And we saw a lot of that. This was as patient as I've ever seen Emil in pass pro. Because if you didn't get onto Emil right away, he'd kind of stand up and then lunge at you. Today, he was staying in his base, nice, patient kick slide. And then when they'd come at him, boom, he'd be right there taking them. I thought Anthony was really good in pass pro, and I thought Emil Wagner. I mean, I thought Billy Schroth was a monster today in the run game, fellas. Like we'll talk about Gabe Rubio, but one thing I'll say about Gabe is he was very up and down, and I noticed that his ups were against guys not named Billy Schroth, and his downs were against Billy Schroth. I did notice that a little bit today, but there was one play where was it Absher that got a win over Gabriel, but I thought Billy Schroth in the run game was physical today. Like, dude, you do know you don't have pads on, right? Like there's a couple. He bent back a couple backs in the run game today, guys, and that's like, okay, that guy's playing some force. I thought I was impressed, and this is true. The second team offensive line, I thought Gerby had a really nice day. I will say this, guys. This is my observation. I want to hear if you guys agree or disagree. This was as good of hand play that I've seen from a Joe Rudolph offensive line. Just how well they used their hands in the run game and pass pro. The hand play last year was really sloppy. It was a bit one of the big problems with pass pro. And inside, they used their face a lot. They would hit in their face, and they would just stay face to face on linemen. Today, when you're a guard, it's hard to not kind of go with your face because it happens so quickly. But there were plays where I saw it from Billy and from Sully and the backup guards where they would hit and kind of have that face-to-face with that real quick contact, and then they would then lock out and extend as opposed to just trying to ride, which then made it easier for them to a well-coached D tackle could then swim off of them and get to the ball. But they were really doing a good job of locking out and not letting the D lineman kind of disengage as much. I thought that was as good as I've seen from Billy in that regard today. But it was noticeable when you see that. when you say, okay, because this is something I'm looking for because it has been a complaint of mine the last couple of years. So that was really, really a positive to see today. It's like, okay, that's what I want to see from a Notre Dame offensive line. Again, just one day. But when an offensive line's impressing me, because you guys know, Vince, you've been doing this for me for a long time. Because we would be side by side at practices when we didn't even work together, talking. And this is as good of a first day, like I said, as I've seen from an offensive line in a while. Physicality-wise, they were moving around well. They looked in great shape. Especially the veterans, they were competing like crazy against the D-line and playing with a little bit of P&V today, man. Like, just the demeanor from that group, I was like, boy, I'm jacked from what I saw today from the offensive line. And have I ever since 2017, have I ever gone to you about, dude, first day, I loved how the offensive line performed? I don't think I have.
No, I don't think so either. And the one thing I always look for in offensive lineman, whether it's high school, college, Notre Dame, whatever, you want them to have a nasty streak. Like, that's what you look for. Like, it's one thing to be big and strong and all of those things, but I don't want a teddy bear. I want a guy that's going to be the P&V, like you said. I want a nasty streak in the offensive line. And I feel like today, on day one, which is kind of surprising to your point, they had that as a group. It wasn't like an individual, like, okay, yeah, he clearly has that nasty streak, or he clearly has it. It was as a group. And that's a good feeling to have on day one. I will say that, because Trev and I spent a lot of time watching the defensive line early on in practice, and we're like, okay, he looks real good. He looks real good. And we'll get into those specifics in a little bit. And then they go up against this offensive line, and it was like, okay, it's men versus men here. Like the offensive line is holding their own. And it was really, really good to see. Really
Run game, this is the most push I've seen them get.
Yes.
On a first day. On a first day. We're just talking comparing to other first days.
Yep.
This is, there's some legit holes being now the flip side to that is it's like, okay, D-line, what's going on here? But watching them play, a lot of it was just like, boy, the offensive line was really getting after it today.
Yeah.
So that was good to see. Really good to see.
Yeah, I think this is one of the more complete practice performances I've seen from Emil Wagner in my very limited time watching him in practices. A lot of times during the season, it was, he was great in pass pro today, inconsistent in the run game. He was good in the run game today. He was inconsistent in the pass game. It's kind of what we talked about him in the postseason. Today, he had a really good down block on a run play, which allowed him to move up to the second level, and I thought he walled off the linebacker really well. He was great in pass pro, but I echo what you said about their hand placement. I thought it was really good today. I thought Anthony Knapp's feet also moved a lot better today.
Yes. Too. Looked way more comfortable in space.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, day one. He's got to continue it. But, you don't usually regress the deeper you get into fall camp when you're a returning starter. You know what I mean? So
if that's the case, we got bigger issues.
I promise you he'll look terrible on like practice 12 or 13, because that's just kind of when the camp legs hit.
Oh, yeah.
Linemen, like camp practice like 11, 12, 13, 14. But,
it's okay. We won't be there to see it. So
that's to be expected. But I thought day one, I was. And guys, we didn't even talk. We're going over what I want everybody to watch. We hardly talked about the lines, because on day one, it's just, you don't really care. But the fact that there were linemen for both sides of the ball that popped on day one, that's a good sign. Very good sign.
Yep. All right. Any other offensive notes that you guys want to throw out there? Okay. So that's going to do it.
I think people need to relax with the quarterback stuff. It's practice.
You knew there was going to be some fun
practice
takes.
That's practice.
Not a game.
Just understand what you're saying in practice, and make sure that the people that you are getting practice in from understand what practice is about. And then you understand why they don't let us at more practices.
Good point. That's going to do it for the offensive portion of today's practice report. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell, share with your family and friends. And of course, jump on the premium message board at boards.irishbreakdown.com, because yes, we are giving you our practice report, but there's some more nuts and bolts details that are going to be in the actual written practice report that is only for premium message board subscribers.
Well, I didn't say this. The couple second team offensive line guys that did really impress me today, Gerby Lambert was really good today also, I thought, with the second team. getting a really nice push in the run game. He looked more comfortable in the pass game as well. I completely forgot to mention Kirby. And I thought Joe Otting with he was a little up and down, but had a couple nice reps. I thought Styles Prescott also looks noticeably thick. He's filled out this offseason as well. He looked pretty good today. And Will Black is a freak athlete. Like, we didn't see him during team, but during drills, you're like, that guy looks different. Like, Vince, we talk about that guy that moves different type of thing.
Yep.
He moves different. And Cam Herron is he's an interesting young lineman. He's listed at 285. He has, I don't know if he has any fat on him. He looks more like a D tackle. He's quick. His long speed, but his short area quickness today in drills was like, oh, okay, that's impressive. So just a couple observations from the young guys in the second team that I wanted to point out before we move on to the next side.
All right. Hit that like button, everybody, and jump on the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. So where you're going to get all the info. Just saying. Let's talk defense, gentlemen, and what we were able to ascertain from the defensive side of the football. Let's go big picture first. Just some thoughts overall on the defense as we saw them. Trevor, I'll let you kind of kick this off since you and I were kind of watching defense today. And Trev, give me your thoughts on the D.
Yeah, I thought they were on the hop today. They were buzzing around, and it's something that you wanted to see from a defense's first day out in fall camp. You want to see them flying around as much as they can without shoulder pads. They weren't going live today. Nobody was being brought to the ground. It was, but there were some small things that I noticed that they were also having a lot of fun out there. I mean, honestly, that was something that you wanted to see. That was something I was going to be paying attention to throughout fall camp to see what was the focus level, what was the level of the intensity out there. I thought the defense brought it today. They were very vocal. We talked about it at the start of the show. They were very communicative on the back end of the defense. They were going through D lineman drills. Al Washington was very intense today. I thought, Vince, I don't know if you got the same impact, but he was very intentional with his feedback. I thought that he was not a get in your face, kind of put you down type of feedback. It was very intense coaching, and I love that style of play. Love that style of coaching. So big picture for me on defense, there were some position groups. We'll get into it in a little bit. Some I didn't pay as much attention to, not because they had a bad day. It's just they were steady. There wasn't a whole lot to take away because there are positions on the defensive side. I think this being a non-padded practice had more of an effect on the defense than it did on the offense in certain ways. But overall, I thought it was a good first day of fall camp for him.
Vince, let me ask you a question. Since you watched it first, let me lead you into this one a little bit. You actually, like Trev, I appreciate your insights. Trev had some good takeaways from what he saw today. I want to ask you from a comparison sake.
Yep.
When you look at this defense compared to past defenses, I want to ask you two questions. Number one is athletically, what did you think? And then lengthwise, how did you think of what you saw from this unit, especially relative to what we've seen even in the recent history?
Mm-hmm. So Trevor and I spent a lot of time watching the defensive line and the linebackers. I don't want to say we know what we're going to get from the secondary, but I kind of know what we're going to get from the secondary. Like that's kind of, and we watched them, but we spent a lot of time with the front seven, and we were kind of watching who was getting paired up with who and kind of what that looked like and everything. But by far, the thing that stood out to me the most was the length and athleticism, especially of the defensive ends. The fact that they had Boubacar Traore and Bryce Young. I'm going to do that every time. They had Bryce Young paired up together going through drills. It was like, okay, so you've got the going to do it consistently group with Tue Alamaka and Burnham together, and then you've got this is the ceiling group. Like this is the athletic, long, get after it group. And watching those two do drills together was just like, it just made your mouth water a little bit. If you just like watching athleticism and just guys getting after it, and that's not taking anything away from Burnham and Tule Alamaka, because they're really good players and they're going to be great. But these two kids are just built differently. They're just built differently.
They're super long. My pushback is I actually think Burnham has a lot of that as well.
Sure.
I think Josh
He's
is
just not
actually
in that.
pretty long and athletic.
Yeah, it just looks different though.
It does.
Just
It does.
I'll
Go ahead, Trev.
say this about the defense because I don't want to get into specifics of who was matched up with who, but I did notice that going through drills, this wasn't in team or 7-on-7, but in position drills, they were very intentional on who they paired up with who at both spots in the D line, at D tackle and at D end, and also at linebacker, which I thought was really interesting. The pairings that they had people going through drills with as well. It was very intentional. I don't think it was just that's just the order because people were kind of getting out of order in line. It was very intentional around this is what linebacker is going with what linebacker, what D end is paired up with the other D end. That was also really cool to see.
And just the size, like just the linebackers have noticeably gotten bigger. You know, Madden Faremo looks like a grown man. I mean, just an absolute adult.
You guys pointed him out to me, and I was like, "Whoa!"
I mean, he makes KVA look small, like, and that's not an easy thing to accomplish. And I know KVA is trying to kind of reshape his body a little bit and all of that. Doesn't matter. Like, it was just like,
I talked to Vince about it for like 5 minutes.
It was great though, man. I mean, the kid he doesn't look like an incoming freshman. Like that's the point. And we didn't get to see a bunch of him in the spring because he had a cast on his arm and, you know, that kind of stuff. He does not move around like he had a cast on anything. And so he's just a big boy.
My thing was, this is, and I said it last year, and it's even more so this year. This is the longest, most athletic team I've seen from Notre Dame of the 20 years since I've been covering the team, and especially on defense. It's like it was really good last year, but now that you've had the current freshman classes now on campus with Dallas Gold, Mark Zachary, Cree Thomas, Madden Faremo, Jadon Blair, the D lineman, you know, I mean, it's just a different looking group. And then you obviously have the sophomore class with, you know, Kingston and Leonard Moore. I mean, there's a play where it's like, guys, Micah Gilbert's a big guy, and Leonard Moore makes him look small.
Isn't that crazy?
You know,
you pointed it out to me.
Yeah.
Because they were right in front of us.
All right. Micah Gilbert's like 6'2". What was he on the roster today? But he's like 6'2", 205, 210 pounds. He was measured in at 6'2", 204 today.
Yep.
And he's a pretty look, and Leonard makes him look small.
Yeah.
And Jadon Blair and Bronte Johnson is really long. Luke Touch is really long. The range of this, and you want to know why the pass game didn't look great in day one? It's that. And there's just some things where it's like, well, I thought I had him open, and when it left my hand, I thought it looked pretty good. And then all of a sudden, wham, it's gone. This is an incredibly long and athletic defense.
Yes. Yeah.
And like even one of the but the like Jaden Osbury's built different than all the other guys. Like, if Jalen Sneed's not real big, but Jalen's like long arms and really twitchy, and Drake's a big guy. Drake's, you know, over 6'2", 240, and Kingston 6'3", 235. Matt Framo's this big guy. But then there's a play that they run a little slide route to the sideline, and Jaden Osbury, when he turns to run to the running back, is about 7-8 yards away from the running back. And then just like that, by the time the ball gets to the running back, he is there, and he just was ready to light the running back up. Like, he made his presence felt, but then didn't finish the tackle because it wasn't a tackling practice. But you're just like, the speed with which he got downhill, you're like, good night. I would not want to be a quarterback going against that. Like, it is exciting to watch. And I don't usually get fired up about defense because I'm an offensive guy at heart, because it's kind of like, you know, you start getting little flashbacks. You know, oh, I remember that time I got ear holed. But the athleticism that we saw from this group today, the length, you know, that's the thing you notice when it's Boubacar and Bryce, because they are, because like Josh has got really good length, but he's still not as long as Boubacar. Boubacar's got over 35-inch arms. It's insane. And, but yeah, that was one of my big takeaways. But the other takeaway for me, guys, more practically speaking, tons of communication on defense. Just great communication. Like, there was one play, just as an example, because we saw it a lot with both units, but just I remember one play really stood out to me. There's a play where the offense is lined up 2x2, and they motioned to a 3x1. And as he's running across, and then they had Carson Hobbs travel with the motion guy. As he's running across, I can hear Carson Hobbs screaming to the other side, the check, and just yelling it like check. It's whatever the check was, and you see everybody hearing it, reacting to it, and engaging. And we saw that constantly from this defense today, just constant communication, which is good, especially when you consider they're officially day one of a new defensive coordinator. And so a lot of prep has gone into getting these guys ready.
Yes. And to your point, there was one play, we'll call it, where the offense and the defense were kind of going back and forth before the play even started. There was audibles happening on both sides of the football because the defense was going to blitz, and then the offense, and I believe CJ Carr was the quarterback. He noticed it, so he audibled, and then the defense checked, and then the offense checked, and it was the
right check by the quarterback on that particular
100%.
Now they weren't perfect.
It was fun.
There were some big holes at times on the run game. There was 2 noticeably blown coverages, and CJ Carr read it both times and hit it both times. But overall, guys, it just was like, okay, this is a really long athletic group, and they're engaging, communicating. Now it's about cleaning stuff up. But overall, I haven't seen a defense this athletic at Notre Dame in a long time. Like 2015, Vince, they had a few guys that were like that. Jalen was like that. Kavari was like that. Max Redfield was like that. Overall, they weren't that way. 2020 had some guys like that. Kyle Hamilton, Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah, but not where you're just like, dude, they have 3rd and 4th stringers. There's a couple plays I looked over to the other side of the field, and I couldn't see who it was. I think it was Anthony. I think it was Bodie Cahoon. But I just see one of the middle linebackers just open and run, and you're just like, God, that's on the scout team side of the field.
Basically,
and you're just like,
right.
You're like, you got like Madden Framo and Bodie Cahoon and guys like that over there, and you're just like, this is ridiculous. You're watching I'm looking over there watching Jadon Blair just covering this defense is ridiculously talented. It really is. Like, I thought I knew it, but it's just like watching them run around today. You're like, athletically, this is what an elite team is supposed to look like athletically, lengthwise. But just look. Now they got to play like it, but just on the hoof, guys, which is one of the big things you look for in day one. You're like, this is an impressive looking group of guys. And I don't know if I saw hardly any fat on that side of the field. Like, Armo Mookum's just big. Jared Dawson does not look like the same guy we saw at Louisville. He was fat at Louisville. He was very good, but he was fat. He looks like slimmer. He looks like more jacked. Like he's an impressive looking guy. That was a big takeaway for me today. And then of course they backed it up a lot of times how they played, but they were far from perfect today either. So that's my takeaway from the defense. I'm ready to go some D-line talk.
Okay,
a little bit more specifically. Yeah,
there we go. So
some of it we've talked about, guys. Yeah. Right. So, but I think that I'll just share this with you guys. When Trevor and Vince came over to me when we met up, that they were watching the D-line and just looking at their faces about like, man, there's some dudes over there. I thought was a fun part. That was a fun part for me today. Like seeing Trevor's like seeing the D-line up close and personal, and it's like the look on his face is like, okay, he enjoyed what he saw today.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, when Trevor and I were over there, and normally when you assign me to watch the defense, I'm like, I want to watch the offense. But like I am easily distracted away from the defense. And that was not the case today. Like I was not, because of what I was seeing from an athleticism standpoint, from a get off and go standpoint and things like that. I was like, okay, these guys are kind of fun to watch. And so that was my initial takeaway from the defensive line, Trev, is just, they were running a lot of drills and things like that. And they were very working, like, to your point from earlier, working on some just very specific footwork things. And, it was an assistant coach that was kind of working with the group on the sled. And he was like, it was very specific about where to put your feet, how high to bring it off the ground, things like just very specific little things that, and it wasn't like in your face yelling, screaming. It was like, no, this is the way we do it. This is the standard. And this is how we're going to get it done, Trev.
Yeah. This group, There was no drop off athletically, no matter who was rotating in on these drills. That was the biggest takeaway that I had with this group, and that's nuts. I mean, because look, I've never been to a Notre Dame practice before, but I've seen it in games. I've seen it in like practice clips that come out. You notice a difference when the first team guys are in there going through punch drills on the sled, when they're working on stunt drills, when they're working on twists, things like that. There is a clear athletic difference between, say, like a first rotation coming in and then to the second, then to the third. I couldn't see a difference today. Almost to the point where Vince was like, was that guy? Because how we were doing is he would tell me the name and the numbers, and then I would write everything down. I would chart it. And it was to the point that I was like, or was that this guy? No, I think it was this guy, because it just looked so, no matter who they went to, no matter who they were putting in there. And that was consistent on the interior of the defensive line through 6-7 guys through the rotation. And then that was also consistent through the first 5-6 guys in the edge rusher rotation as well. And that was with Jordan Botelho off to the side because with his injury, he can't punch off of a sled or anything. And so, but it was even evident with him, given that he had a lower body injury less than a year ago. And lower body wise, he still looked just as twitchy as some of the other defensive linemen that were going through these drills. You just can't punch, and so when I was watching the D-line today, that was by far the biggest thing that jumped out to me, is there was no drop off and, okay, there's the fifth year guy that hasn't been able to crack the rotation yet, or, okay, there's the true freshman that's still working on putting on the weight and gaining the strength. And no, consistent throughout. It was impressive.
Even the young guys who have to gain weight and get bigger, like Gordy Solstead looks really good in the uniform. Like, he's going to be a big kid, like just big, broad shoulders. And Joe Reef, I thought, looked good. Davion Dixon looks like a tank. And those are the young guys. Chris Burgess looks like a grown up. I mean, he looks like, why are they letting that? Like, is that some former Notre Dame player who's in the NFL for his 9th year? That's, and it's like, no, that's a freshman, so I thought D-line wise, guys, it's a very explosive group on the edge. The big takeaway for me was they did not have Boubacar doing anything team related today. No team related stuff. I didn't see him in there at all during team. Did you guys see him do any team today? Any team reps today?
Now that you mention it, I don't.
So that's not a surprise.
Yeah.
What I was encouraged by, he was out there with no knee brace on. And
he went through every drill.
Right.
Full go.
And John A1 made this point on a post the other day where I was, on my D-line intel, he's like, look, I want to, he basically was kind of like tempering his Boubacar expectations, because and he's right, because we often see it's not till year 2 that we see a guy really get the explosiveness back from the knee. We saw that with Jadarian Price when Jadarian had juice in 23, but it wasn't like the juice he had in 24, because he was getting the juice back from the knee injury. The difference is that, I shouldn't say the difference is, what I saw from Boubacar today in drills was like, he was some legit explosiveness. The other thing I noticed, Vince, today, he was significantly thicker than we've seen him.
Actually, I've got a point to make there, because yesterday I was kind of bored, and so I threw on the Texas A&M game from last year, and I just wanted to rewatch it. You know what I mean? And obviously, one of the guys that stood out in that game was Boubacar, and the way he was kind of coming off the ball and all those things. And then I saw him today, and it's like, that's a bigger kid than
thicker.
You know what I mean? Like
I saw the roster that I'm listed at 250. I think it was like 230 something in the spring.
Okay,
and it's noticeable.
Yes,
like it's noticeable. He looks thicker
together, and it's one of the things I noticed right away, because of the fact that I was just watching that game from almost exactly a year ago. He has kind of reshaped his body a little bit and just gotten thicker, but hasn't lost his step.
Burst off the line today was really impressive. Yeah. Same with Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas and Josh Burnham also in drill. Like, those 3 guys to me were the most impressive to me in drills, as far as just that first step, just wham, just explosiveness off the line. Very twitchy. Those 3 guys especially. I didn't see a lot that like Bryce Young, I didn't think had a great day. There were some things I saw in
he did some stuff in
drills
and some runs and things like that.
Well, he was more physical today.
Yes.
I didn't see a lot of things where I saw him exploding off the edge, meaning I just didn't see it. So I don't have an evaluation there. I thought he was moving around pretty good during drills, which was good to see because he's put on a lot of weight. That was my concern. He's put on 15, 20 pounds since the fall. And I always get a little nervous about that. But in drills, I thought he moved around really well.
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. I didn't see much of him from team. So, but Gabriel Rubio, I thought had an up and down day, but I thought he looked a lot more explosive than he did last year. Vince, to me, I mean, you could tell the foot injury held him back last year. Just look at his production numbers. It was significantly lower than what it was the year before. I thought he moved well today. I thought he competed today. There just was a couple times the offensive lineman just kind of got after him a little bit, but he had a great win over, I think it was Joe Otting he beat. Trev, did you say it was Joe Otting he beat really easily to get a really nice pressure on CJ Carr? But I thought Jared Dawson was really good today, fellas. I thought Armel Mookum had a couple nice reps as well. A couple times he got beat off the line. I thought Jared Dawson was the most impressive D tackle to me today.
Yeah, I want to let Trevor talk about Mr. Dawson because he and I noticed him pretty much immediately as we were watching drills and watching the interior guys go to work.
Yeah, he was one of the most explosive players that we saw going through the drills as well, to throw kind of his name in the hat along with the guys that you had mentioned too. I know you're going edge rushers, but to also put his name in drills of people just exploding off the line, he caught our eye immediately. Because naturally I wanted to my eyes were automatically drawn to like Jason Onye, Gabe Rubio, kind of like those fifth-year vet guys that were coming back. It's like, all right, what are they going to do? And it was very similar to what you were talking about with the offensive line, Brian. It's just I just couldn't help but watch Jared Dawson. The punch on the sleds was really impressive when they were running a different drill, more of a like an elusive drill. His quickness off the line was exceptional, and then it reflected in team. To your point, because he was really, really good today. Jared Dawson was definitely a player to watch.
That was good to see because he was really up and down in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see a lot in the spring that looked like what we saw from him on film. Today was like an even a better in shape version of the Jared Dawson we saw at Louisville last year.
Yeah.
Who was pretty good. So he flashed a lot for me today. He really did. I didn't see any of him during team, but I thought for such a big kid, Davion Dixon, I thought moved real number 6. He's number 60. I thought his burst off the line was as impressive as any of the big guys that they have. I thought he looked real quick coming off the line in drills.
He's strong, man.
Yeah,
like
there was that sled, dude.
Yes. I mean,
he's a tank because he's not fat at all. He's just big.
Yeah,
like big shoulders, big arms, big feet, big legs. Like you look at him, his body's built very differently than Sean Semilano. And he is a tank. Like he was hurting that sled today. That was impressive to see. He's a good looking kid.
I also want to bring up Jordan Botelho because he was out at practice today. Yeah. And to your point earlier on when we were talking about the fact that they've got so many more adult bodies out there that are able to coach and things like that, he was working one-on-one with Myron Tagovailoa-Amosa pretty much the entire individual period of practice. Obviously he hurt his upper body when he got hurt originally. And so his lower body, there's nothing wrong with his get off. There is nothing wrong with his speed. There's nothing wrong with his agility, and they were working on a lot of those kinds of things. He just didn't participate in like where they had to punch and things like that. And so he's clearly on his way back. And they were holding him back a little bit in this practice, but I'll tell you what, just standing pretty much right next to him most of the individual period, he hasn't skipped the weight room. He's been in there. He's been doing his thing. If once he gets back to 100% healthy and he's back in there with the defense, he's still going to be trouble for people. It just looks like he's ready to pick up where he left off, and I think that's a really good sign for this front seven. Speaking
of front seven, there wasn't a lot to gather from the linebackers today. I think that's probably the position. Linebackers and running backs are the two where you're just looking for athleticism.
Right.
I thought Drake Bowen looked thicker and quicker today than he did a year ago at this time.
He looked thicker here. Yeah. He looked more svelte in the middle.
That's a good observation, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then quicker. So,
real quick.
Yeah, he's looking really good. There was a couple reps where he was doing it without a helmet on, which was interesting. But you could really get a look at kind of the way his body has changed a little bit. And he looks like a linebacker. Not that he didn't last year, but like
he looks like a veteran linebacker.
There
now.
you go.
He looked like a young buck last year, and he is
There
a
you
veteran
go.
linebacker now. But he was really quick and
Yes.
explosive. Kingston, you can see why he wanted to lose weight. Really smooth and rangy. He looks. It's so weird looking at him without the hair.
I know.
Like it's hard to like. Who is that guy? That
It took
guy
us a
looks really
second to
good.
find him.
Like, oh, that's Kingston. Yeah.
We're like, wait,
But
is Kingston out
now,
here? Like,
I'm curious to see what his power looks like with less weight. I mean, he's still 230. What was he on the roster? Let me go look and see what his roster said he was. He was at 230. Yeah, 6'3", 230.
230. Yeah.
He's thinned out. I want to see what his power looks like, but it's definitely paid off from his athleticism. He's very quick, I mean, he's always been a good athlete, but a little bit juicier, a little bit, a bit more juice. I thought Jalen Sneed played confidently today. He's explosive athletically. Jaden Alsbury is real. He has reshaped his body. Jaden is the one of the young linebackers last year that looked like his body hadn't finished puberty yet. Meaning like, you see that young guy that like, he still got some baby fat on him and just still has a little bit of that work. And today I thought he looked very different. He looked much more, again, up here, thick, and man, he was flying around the field. Like I think when they went to one of the drills where they started with the first team, like kind of a nickel look, they had Jaden Alsbury and Kingston out there, or was it Jalen Sneed? But they had Jaden Alsbury out there. So he looked really good today. Really good today. But just linebackers in general, guys, this is a really athletic group, really long group, really talented group. I don't really put a lot of stock into what I see from them outside of that until they put pads on.
That's
agreed.
But
that's fair.
Ray,
We can watch them come downhill.
Good in coverage. I think they were really good in reroutes today for the most part. There's some really good reroutes happening with Kingston and Drake and Jade today. I thought they were good there. I thought all of them closed really well on the football. A couple times they were late stepping into the hole. Drake got blocked inside one time. Kingston got blocked out one time. Some of that, though, that was a really good job by the offensive line getting up to the second level. That battle today between the front six and the offensive line today was probably my favorite part of practice because the defense won some, offense won some. That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
But they were getting after it today. That was really good to see.
No doubt. And we, in case people had missed it, we talked about Madden Framo a little bit. I just want to throw him in there. The kid is just a beast. Like
he was down with the
when
they went team, he was down with the other team, right?
So we got a good look at him during drills and stuff like that. But yes, he was down with the other guys on the other field. But
good looking group of quote unquote backup linebackers.
Right. Seriously.
Bodie Calhoun's an athletic, twitchy dude as well. Did you guys notice him? 36. Like he
sure did.
He's really athletic.
Sure did.
Really athletic.
Yeah, I know we talked about it earlier. I just got to say it again. We were talking about like reshaping bodies. Madden Framo looks like an adult.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a grown man. I mean, that was to see him because that was one of the very few things that I've gotten to compare from spring to now of just, spring. You could tell he was an early enrollee to true freshman, got the rest of the spring under his belt, all of a summer workout regimen. Yeah. He looks the part. I mean, goodness gracious.
Let's head to the back end and talk a little DB.
I just want to say one thing about DB that's not necessarily about a current DB that I didn't mention earlier. I had a little nostalgia today watching Xavier Southall, who's a receiver, running around wearing number 31 because I'm getting flashbacks to his dad, Corny Southall, who wore number 31 at Notre Dame. He was a DB for Notre Dame. That was pretty cool today to see Xavier with his dad's number because Xavier was, I think, 80 last year, I think he was. But watching him run around, I was like, all right, that's cool. I feel old, but it's really cool. But in my defense, when Corny Southall played, I was very young.
Yeah, he was 80.
Yeah, but that was cool to see. Speaking of DBs, not really relevant, but I just thought
that's
it was
okay.
Cool to see.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is your show, so I guess you can
it's
throw
our
some
show
stuff in there.
But yes, I'm allowed to do that. I'm going to take some owner perks, but it's our show. But
Absolutely.
Speaking of secondary fellows,
I mean,
let's just dive right into it. So let's go safeties first, then corners, because I got to talk about Bronte.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
We had the intel piece came out last night, and the first one on there was this big write-up on Bronte because I had heard some things about him from the summer workouts, and you're like, all right, this sounds good. Let's see if he can do it. And man, he was good today. And I believe he was playing the number 2, but he was on opposite of Don Schuler, I believe, because I think he was. What did you have him marked on, Trev?
He would always line up with Stroman.
Yeah, so he was always the field safety.
Yes,
where Adon is a boundary,
yes.
meaning like not the same position as Adon.
Right.
And that was good for me to see because, of how he's going to play. But I thought Bronte Johnson was excellent. And we talked a lot the 2 picks. And the one was a great read, getting over top. I mean, that's when you talk about playing the post, that's what he's doing. He's playing the post. His job is to roll to the middle, make sure that nothing gets over top of him. I thought on that play he was late reacting to the post. I thought he got caught peeking downhill a little bit too much. But the recovery speed to open up and get back underneath it, because as I said, when the ball left CJ's hand, I'm like, that's going to be a big play.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Bronte the ball floats a little bit, but it didn't float that much to where it's like Bronte was like fair catching it. He goes back underneath there, makes that dive, and picks that play off. And then the second interception, he reads CJ's eyes. He's coming downhill, and then he reads CJ's about to throw, and he stops in the hole. So CJ tries to throw over him, and then Bronte just goes up and gets a tremendous play. But he was around the ball all day today, fellas. Like, Bronte was excellent. We can get caught up in like the 2 picks. Like, yeah, but what did he do the other 75 snaps that they took today? I thought Bronte was outstanding just throughout the day. But I thought the safety group as a whole was pretty good today. Luke got beat once on a in cut by, he just took a bad angle to Kevin Bauman and got beat across his face. He's got to do a better job there. And I thought, but overall, I thought the safeties were really good. Adon's pick was like that's the savvy, veteran type of play where he's playing backside and he sees Kenny reading the middle of the field, so he hangs backside, knowing the receiver's going to come to him. And as soon as Kenny went like this, Adon just drives on the route, steps right in front of it, picks it up. He might have picked 6 that if it was a real game. Maybe a receiver would have got him, but it was the opposite side, but similar to the pick he had against Virginia last year. And you're like, that's a lesson for Kenny. Them savvy guys, you got to make sure you know what's on both sides. But I thought he was a great read. Adon was all over. Jalen Stroman is definitely not as athletic as the other safeties, but he's smart. You could tell he looked comfortable in the defense today. I thought he didn't look like he was learning a new defense per se. He looked confident. He comes downhill like a tank, though. He comes down like hard. But overall, I mean, Luke had 2 really nice deep plays. He ate up a go route to Jordan Faison. Reeves all over it. Guys, I thought overall this safety unit is every bit as long and every bit as athletic and every bit as there's going to be no ground to cover. There's one point in time I turned to Trev and I was like, are they going to throw any balls beyond 15 yards today with the first team offense?
Can't.
They end up throwing a couple out of bounds, but it's just like there's nowhere to go with the ball. This safety room today was really good. Just anticipating routes, jumping routes, cutting off. You're thinking, hey, this guy's going to come over, and all of a sudden the safety jumps into the lane. I thought they were pretty darn good today overall. Now, again, no tackling today, so we don't know how they would have tackled or not, but I thought they were we'll talk about Devonte Smith with the corners, but just with the back-end safeties, it's a very, very good first day. Very rangy. Like, I understand the desire to still play a lot of man because you have the corners, but when you have safeties that are this rangy, I also get a desire to say, hey, I want to play more zone because these kids can cover so much ground. They were impressive.
My biggest takeaway from the safety position today is that the competition is everything we hoped it is going to be. Basically, every one of these guys showed up today and competed for that open safety spot and for the rotation. And I think this competition is going to go well into fall camp as far as who's going to be in when, who's going to be where, who's going to be across from who. And you're going to see a nice rotation here, once the season actually does start. The competition is going to be fierce back there. No doubt.
Well, and a lot of them are going to play. I mean, they're going to play a lot of them. They'll play at least 4. We didn't see a lot of Jadon Blair because he was with that other group today. He'll charge along. But from what I saw today, that was an impressive group. But Bronte looked the thing that impressed me about Bronte, he's a redshirt freshman who's never played a meaningful down in college football. He looked very comfortable back there today. A lot of barking, like communicating things. There was none of that. Like a lot of times when you see this. When you see a player in football do this, like looking around like this, that's not a good sign. That's like, wait a minute, what? Huh? That, that sudden head movement is not a good head movement is like, it's like when you're like going like this and the rest of your body's not moving. That's a bad. I saw none of that from Bronte today. He looked like a veteran. Like when Adon Schuler's looking like this, Adon's going here. There's no panic. And I thought Bronte looked that way today as well. So seeing those two guys, I thought they were Adon and Bronte to me were the two most impressive safeties today. But I thought Luke had a solid day. I thought Jalen Stroman had a solid day. But Bronte and Adon just do a little bit of everything. They're rangy. They play coverage. They come downhill. I thought those two were really impressive. Really impressive. And, oh, by the way, Leonard Moore, Vince, is really good.
Yeah. We didn't see the corners get tested a whole lot today because they were so sticky. Yeah. And just watching Leonard Moore, just from a physical standpoint, he's filled out a little bit more since the season, but he's still long, and he's still everything that you remember him being from the season. He's just a little thicker now. But the corners, Gray and Moore, they were just sticky today. Like there was a reason that balls didn't get complete. A whole bunch of balls didn't get completed down the way, because there was a lot of checkdowns, and there was because the coverage was so good. So yeah, Moore, he's a good looking athlete, Trev.
Yeah. The secondary, really just as a unit, was everything that we speculated that it would be. This is the least surprising thing for me coming out of this fall camp, is that the secondary looked really good out of practice today.
Christian Gray wearing number 6, it took me some getting used to.
Right.
See that? Wearing number 6. Looked confident, comfortable, looked good. They went at him one time on a go route to Jordan Faison. He was all over it.
Yep.
Definitely, obviously we can't get into specifics, but they definitely are mixing up their coverages a lot. Even when playing man, they're mixing up the looks and with which they get to man. And I don't want to get into too many specifics because I don't want to get in trouble, but it was obvious that they're working on mixing things up a lot more.
Being multiple,
Yeah, and I just thought Christian in general looked a lot more comfortable today in coverage than he had. I mean, not in coverage, in playing field than he had in the past. So that was obviously a good sign to see that. But overall, I thought those two were really good. And I'll tell you who else really impressed me today, guys. Dallas Golden is a dude. Like, we knew he was good, but he's a dude. He did not look like a freshman. Like, returning punts, he didn't look like a freshman. Playing corner, he didn't look like a freshman. He looked incredibly comfortable out there. Just little things like opening up on a go route and just staying in phase, just understanding, like, I got to stay inside of this guy and not let him get inside of me, but not overplaying it to let the guy do a double move. Because you guys know I had him, I think he was my number 1 ranked defensive player in the class last year. I believe, I'm going to go look that up as I'm talking. It was either him or Jadon Player, but I think he was number 1. But watching him with just kind of move around and seeing him in person and just seeing how smooth he is, and just, man, he is an impressive looking player. I was very happy to see Dallas Golden be he was my number 1 ranked guy, top 50 national recruit is how I ranked him. And that thing I noticed too, Trevor, he's noticeable. Him and Mark Zachary are noticeably very long athletes. Mark is long in the legs and the arms. Like, he is a really high hipped kid, which is partly why for me, I have a hard time. I had a hard time seeing how fast he was in high school because he's so long limbed. Dallas is easier to see that, but when you see him like running with guys, you're like, okay, he's fast, but he's very long limbed, very long arms. Dallas has got very long arms, and like it popped. And then of course, when he's wearing like the wristbands and stuff, it's even more noticeable. But he looked a lot more comfortable playing corner than I thought he was. Because remember, Dallas was not even a full-time corner on defense. He played a lot of safety, played running back, wide receiver, did a little bit of everything. I don't know what you guys thought about that, but I was like, okay, he looks a lot more like, okay, this guy looked a lot more comfortable, I thought, than he did. And he was working with a second team at offense or defense today. as that field corner. Like he was getting a lot of work today in that group. Him and Mark, but Mark was rotating in with Cree Thomas, but the second team corner room today was all the freshmen. So
very exciting to see. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I thought we were going to see Dallas Golden more so in the nickel rotating in.
So during the summer, they used him at both, but right now, early in fall camp, they're going to play him a lot at one and then kind of work him in a little bit more.
Gotcha. Well, I was surprised.
That's why we also didn't see Carson Hobbs outside today. So like day one, they were just letting everybody play in that one spot. That's why Carson only stayed in the slot today too. Just because I forgot to give you guys a heads up on that, but that's why we saw that today. Just day
gotcha.
one. But
that makes sense. But to your point, I was surprised at how comfortable he looked at those positions. It's a very promising, but also kind of a scary thought that all three of your second team corners were all true freshmen. Like on one hand, it's like, yo, the young talent that they're bringing in is really impressive. But then on the other hand, it's like, ooh, is the entire two deep at the outside going to be all three true freshmen? So I think that's interesting. They're going to continue to develop throughout camp. Mm-hmm. I have faith in Mike Mickens because Leonard Moore came in as a true freshman. Ben Morrison came in as a true freshman. But it's still just to see it on paper. It's like, all right, that's no matter who they plug and play, it'll be a true freshman potentially.
Yeah.
It's exciting, but also like,
yeah.
Ooh, okay.
If Mike Mickens wasn't the coach, to your point, Trev, I might be a little bit more like,
yeah,
I'm a little nervous about this, but as you said, I mean, Mike Mickens is the only time Mike Mickens hasn't had a freshman All-American since he's been his guys have been in there is the year where his starters didn't get hurt. But, like 2023, but the one game we did see guys get hurt, Christian Gray steps in and dominates. So it's like there's faith there. But I just it was impressed with how like Mark looked more like a freshman, like a really talented freshman. There's a couple mistakes that he made, but Dallas I just thought looked really comfortable today. And now keep in mind it's day one, so they don't have the whole like defense in, right? And he's going to start mentally swimming here in about 5 days. But the other thing with Mark is Mark didn't look as comfortable all the time, but Mark looks really explosive athletically. Like that was impressive to see. Cree had a bit of a rough first day. He got beat a couple times down the field on some double moves. But I didn't see a ton of him otherwise. But the other thing, too, is I thought Devonte Smith had a pretty good day in the slot. Like, he was just where he needed to be. They had no ability to block him when he blitzed off the edge. That's something that's going to have to get corrected. Like, I think he had like 4 or 5 pressures off the edge.
There were a lot of zero pressure you had me writing down, and I was like, does that mean there was nobody pressuring him, or was it number 0 that was pressuring him?
And he was dead serious because I was saying it so much. I was like, no, number 0 was getting pressure on.
But you said it a lot, so that tells me something. Because and just so people understand, like I had my head down and I was basically dictating what Brian was telling me about what he was seeing. I would write it down and everything. He'd be like, 0 pressure. I'm like, well, then why did he throw a pick? But it was number 0 applying the pressure. So,
Trev, what did you think of Devonte today when you guys were watching him through drills? What did you think of like watching him in coverage? I was surprised at how comfortable he looked in the defense. What did you see today?
I was surprised at how comfortable he looked in the defense because it's his first year in South Bend, but then it also he has that relationship with some of the defensive coaches on staff already. 1, 2, he's just kind of like what you said about Adon Schuler. He's a savvy vet. Like the setting is new, but you can tell what was being asked of him wasn't new. I guess if that makes sense, because this is the first time Notre Dame has recruited a nickel to be a nickel. Like Devonte Smith was just a nickel corner. Like Jordan Clark also played safety at Arizona State. Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like Thomas Harper also was a safety at Oklahoma State, and Devonte Smith was just a nickel. So I think a lot of what he was being asked to do was just very familiar to him. And then athletically, it just took over. He looked really comfortable today.
I thought so too. Real smooth. If you guys could also talk about, Carson Hobbs had a couple plays where he got beat, but in a couple plays overall, just give your thought. I thought there's a couple plays where I thought Carson looked really good. Trev, just overall thoughts on what you saw from Carson, because he spent all day working with the second team at nickel. He'll play everywhere. He's probably the next. If they played a game tomorrow, Carson Hobbs is the next man in. I would think at least two of the, if not all three of the cornerback spots. I think they're trying to develop where he doesn't have to be that guy, where he can kind of focus in. But today they had him mostly nickel. There'll be other practices where we see him more outside, but today they had him a nickel. A little bit up and down, Trev, but I also saw some things I liked. What did you see from Carson today?
No, we're in the same boat there, man. I mean, look, he's picking up where he left off in the spring when they started working him in at nickel. You know, they about a week before the blue gold game, we got to see him in the jersey scrimmage play at nickel, and it was you could tell he hadn't been asked to do that very much. And then he looked like a completely different player in the blue gold game. Not that he was just a lights out nickel corner and they're going to have no concerns if Devonte Smith goes down, but his improvement from just in a week's time span of what we saw of him at the nickel in the jersey scrimmage to what we saw of him in the blue gold game, I thought he continued that progression today in fall camp. The athleticism is still off the charts. I love Carson Hobbs at nickel because, like we saw in the blue gold game, he is not afraid to come down into the box and make a tackle. Not at all. The athletic tools are off the chart. He's very long. He's rangier. He's, again, I say it all the time, but he has better speed than what a lot of people give him credit for.
Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
moves
fast.
I mean, on CJ's third interception of the game, yes, that was a drop pass by KK. KK was the outside receiver, and Carson Hobbs was able to squeeze down on it. And
that was not his
spot.
Man.
No.
You're correct. Like, that's got to be pointed out. The interception he made, and I saw that Notre Dame put that play out. Carson was covering the slot. That was not his guy. Like, when CJ threw it, he did like you're supposed to drive on the ball. But like, he flew out there to get. I didn't think he had a shot to get to that ball.
No,
when it hit KK's hands, he flew out there,
opened up his hips, and absolutely stuck his back foot in the ground and moved. I mean, you can see why Mike Mickens has been working him out there because of all of the physical tools that he has that projects well to that position. But he's just continuing his journey to that point. He's not a refined product yet, to our point earlier in the show. That's why you have 25 to 28 fall practices to kind of hone in those skills. But I am with you, Brian.
You saw that on the play where Jaden Greathouse got him.
Yes.
Like, you saw, like, okay, that's the stuff he's going to have to learn. Like, you got to learn that stuff. But yeah, he's going to be all right. He's going to be all right. He's got some talent. He's got some talent. There's some stuff to work there with Carson, but just athlete. He's tall, he's long. And the thing that I think surprises me the most with him is how physical he is. Like, that's something that I really like as well. Like, he's not a real big guy. He's tall and long, but he's not real thick. He's not like as thick as Leonard. Like, Leonard is like jacked. He's not just tall. He's also kind of jacked. He's a strong guy. Carson is not really, like, he's skinny, but he's physical as well. Like, he's got impressive tools. Like you said, he's got some stuff to work on, but he's got some impressive tools. But overall, I mean, just the length and athleticism and the instincts on the back end of the defense today, guys, was really good. There was stuff that I thought was open. A couple times I called out like, oh, that's open. And then all of a sudden a DB just comes out of nowhere and just eats it all up. It was a really impressive looking group. Really impressive looking group. Yeah. Guys, somebody in the chat said, Brian sounding so giddy after watching them makes me even more excited for the season to start. Guys, I've been at I've well over 10 fall camps. I've seen the only really good team Notre Dame had that I wasn't here for fall camp was 2012. Like, I've seen Michael Floyd, I've seen Julian Love, I've seen a lot of dudes. I'm genuinely like fired up about what I saw today. Just the talent that I saw today, the competitiveness that I saw today, the getting after, the playmaking that I saw today. Was it perfect on either side of the ball? No, but it's not going to be that way on practice number one. What you want to see is you want to see guys that are getting after it, guys that are coachable, guys that are communicating, guys that are competing, guys that are flying around. And then you want to see, do they have talent? And that's what we saw today. And, people that are first of all, you should never be upset about you should never be concerned long-term about what you see from a day one practice unless it's about the talent. If you're watching day one and you're like, they're just not that athletic. Like these offensive linemen have really heavy, slow feet. And these receivers just have no juice off the line. These linebackers are really stiff. That's when you get like, okay, I'm concerned. I don't care that Kenny missed reads and threw a pick. I don't care that CJ threw 2 picks that were on him. And I don't care about all that kind of stuff. I want to see, did you compete? Were you coachable? And what kind of talent and athleticism do you have? And that today we saw in very high marks on both sides of the ball. Now for coaches, it's about clean this up, get better here. Quarterbacks are going to get better. In 3 days, we're going to, hopefully hear some intel about, dude, the quarterbacks lit the secondary up today. That's going to happen. I don't have a problem with the picks that I saw today because those are learning experiences for both quarterbacks. I don't care that Kenny didn't see Adon come down. I kind of like seeing those things in fall camp because now it's on his mind. I got to be alert for that next time. So Kenny's going to now know. I can't just assume, because here's what happened on Kenny's pick. He saw 2 high safeties and thought he was going to get 2 high safeties. That's a lesson learned. And then it wasn't 2 high safeties when he made his read. And so a guy he didn't see makes the interception. CJ said, hey, I've made this throw before over top of DBs like that. Did one earlier in practice. Did it in the spring game. Oh, that guy, I can't do that again. Those are all lessons learned, and those are good things to see. So there should be no panic. They are going to learn from their successes and from their failures. And somebody in the chat just said, bad balls should be picked. Yeah, but it's not always the case. And it was good to see that. But I'll tell you right now, the second pick that CJ threw, that was not a bad ball. That was a phenomenal play by Bronte Johnson. The pick by Kenny, that wasn't a bad ball. It's not a great read. That was a great veteran savvy play by a Don Schuler to bait the quarterback into a mistake. So that's the nice thing about practice and also the bad thing of practice. When you're talking about what a great play it was by one side of the ball, it means the other side of the ball didn't do a good job. I like the fact that when they did have mistakes in coverage, every time I saw a mistake in coverage, CJ Carr found it and hit it. Every time. When he had one-on-ones, he'd find the one-on-one and hit it. That's what he saw in the play to Jaden Greathouse against Carson Hobbs. He saw a matchup that he liked. He saw an inside pressure. Offensive line picked it up, and he banged that in cut. And then he hit it right out of the break. So there's a lot of good things on both sides of the ball and a lot of things where the other side of the ball didn't do as well. But overall, I was thrilled about day one of practice, guys, just because of the length, the athleticism, the talent, the competitiveness. And Vince, we're not always fired up after the first day of practice. But today, I thought last year's team competed real well on day one, and that turned out to be a pretty darn good football team.
Mm-hmm.
But this football team is just they're longer, they're more athletic,
Yep. They're
they're more explosive, they're deeper even than last year. And that has me super fired up about what we're going to see. I don't care. Now, if the quarterbacks are throwing the same picks in practice 17 and 18 and 19, then I get concerned. Wasn't there one year Ian Book threw like a bunch of picks in an early practice? And he ended up being fine. I forget what was it.
Kyle Hamilton?
Maybe. I just don't care about that stuff.
Right. Exactly.
And it was the year after he led him to the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's I just don't care about that stuff.
Right.
There was one practice in fall camp, I think in 2019, where Ian Book didn't throw a pass beyond 5 yards the entire practice and team. It's just like, guys, it's a practice. I don't care.
Yeah, it's a pick your poison. If CJ and Kenny would have diced up the secondary today, are these corners and safeties as good as we thought? Are we going to miss Xavier Watts more than what we thought? It's just pick your poison. I was really, really happy with what I saw today.
Yeah.
Usually we're making a lot more caveats about, hey, this is week one, blah, 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 blah. We're not really doing that. There are some, but it's still practice number one.
It was fun to be out there. Vince, I did promise you something that we haven't gotten to yet.
You did. I
did tell you that
just skip over it.
I wanted to get the good things out of the way first, and then we could talk about the one thing that was like from practice.
Yeah, it was.
Look, we saw some punting and kicking today.
We did, and we saw actually more punting and kicking than we normally see at a practice, and so I personally appreciate that. We couldn't take any video of it because it was later on in the practice, and you have to put the video cameras up at that point. But we did see all 3 place kickers that are on the roster kick, and we saw both punters that are on the roster punt. And so we do want to talk about that a little bit. Noah Burnett.
Vince wants to talk about that a little bit. You're the kicking
Can't you
expert.
just
We're going to let you
play along. All right.
I can't wait.
I'm just joking. We're going to all talk about it. I just like giving you a hard time.
I know you do. It's fun. But no, Noah Burnett, obviously he's the starting kicker right now, transferring from North Carolina. He hit every field goal that they lined up for. I would say that they did not, I was not left with a case of, oh, wow, he's really banging him through today. Like that was not the case, but they were all good.
They looked to be. There was one we weren't sure of
because we were in an angle.
Right. But we're pretty sure that the rest of them went in.
Yeah. And it just, they kind of floated a little bit. They didn't have like the oomph behind them, but they went through. And at the end of the day, 3 points is 3 points. So, I mean, I'm not going to, bag the kid a whole bunch. It just didn't look impressive, but they went through the uprights and it was all kicks 45 and in. And he hit every single one. They also go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I thought that Marcelo Diamidi and Eric Schmidt have noticeably stronger legs.
Yes, that was.
They're not as consistent as Noah.
Correct.
But
100%.
It was wild, Vince, watching one guy kick and then watching the ball explode off the feet of the other two kids. Was
100% different. And the Diamidi kid, we didn't really get a chance to see him a bunch because I think he was the third or fourth kicker last year. So we never got a chance to see him kick. The ball explodes off his leg. Like I was actually very, very impressed. I was probably more impressed with him overall of the three guys because I think he hit most of his kicks as well. But he
had one miss.
He had one miss. They just
came pushed off one right.
They just came off his legs so much better. And as I've explained,
way better height off the ball too. Both of the two backups get way better height off their kicks than Noah.
Yes, and they don't float in the air. Mm-hmm. Like there's a kind of a floating technique that happens with Noah Burnett. These ones explode, and you can tell the difference. And look, I explained on the board that Eric Schmidt is focusing on place kicking kind of for the first time, and he's got a banger of a leg, man. Like that thing, the ball just comes right off of his foot with power. It's just sometimes you don't know where it's going to go. And so that's something that he's going to have to work on. Again, I predicted long ago that I think he could be the first place kicker and punter for Notre Dame, starting place kicker, starting punter at the same time for Notre Dame at some point in his career since DJ Fitzpatrick back in the early 2000s. Like I could see that.
I was thinking it was Hendrick. I forgot about DJ.
It was DJ.
Good call on
high school.
Good call. Well, that's cheating. You had the your high school. No, I'm kidding.
Just saying.
I
he had a game winner
as a freshman. I remember DJ as a place kicker.
Sure.
I forgot about him being a punter. I was thinking it was going to be Craig Hendrich did both. Back in the 90s.
Way back. Yeah.
I was thinking, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's first and Hendrich. Yeah, good call, Vince. And then you're like, DJ Fitzpatrick. That's a great pull from on that one, Vince.
Thank you.
I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah, so good old DJ who owns all the Burger Kings in town. But anyway, so I think that was where Eric Schmidt will end up, but he's not there yet. And so, again,
but he has a really powerful leg.
I still think he's going to be the kickoff guy this year. I don't see how that's not going to happen.
I won't be shocked if he takes over as the place kicker at some point in time, if he can become more consistent, because his leg is strong.
And you know what? They may bring him out. Like if there's a 50-plus
end of the Northern Illinois game last year, you need a 60-yarder. You're going to bring out Eric Schmidt because it may get blocked, but if you don't block it, it's going to have a chance.
You might have
a strong leg.
You might have Wilson across your face if you block it with your face, but
he's got a. But I was really surprised at how well the ball came off of Marcelo.
Yes.
I've never really paid attention to Marcelo, but I was really surprised how well the ball came off of his foot.
Agreed.
He's got a little bit of it was popping. You could hear it,
and because
it's like a baseball bat, Vince. There's some guys that you just hear the ball come off their bat, and you're just like, And then there's times like you just hear it come off the bat. And it was funny. I was watching. I was trying to remember. It was an old Reds game, and I think it was Eric Davis hit a ball, and you're just like, "That's gone." I mean, you can just hear it. Like it was like on. I'll put stuff on the background as I'm watching something. So I was more listening to the call, just having some reminiscing. And I think it was game 1 against the A's, and you just hear the ball leave it hit there, and you're like, I'm like, oh yeah, that must have been the Eric Davis home run because you just could hear it.
Yeah.
And that's what I noticed today with the kickers is it just sounded different.
Yep, 100%. 100%. And you can tell that when you're walking around as a baseball coach, when you're listening to hitting, just like you said, and you can tell it when you listen to guys kicking. And that was the case today. Moving over to punting, obviously James Rendell's moving into year number 2, and then Eric Schmidt is the backup punter as well. So I would say inconsistent would be the best, but I leaned over to you and I said, and I actually wrote it down as well. I go, James Rendell is still an enigma. Like, I don't know where the disconnect is, if it's with Marty Biaggi, with what he wants James Rendell to do, and James Rendell just can't do it. They were attempting to do like 4 or 5 different styles of punts all in one period. And it's just like, I feel like they're throwing too much at him to make him do things that he's just not comfortable doing. He turned one ball over, which was nice. It was a beautiful punt, turned it over. The rest were rough.
Were you talking about James Rendell or Schmidt?
Well, I'm talking about
Was
Rendell.
Schmidt the one that kicked 13 yards down the field, and then like the next one was like 60?
Yeah.
Is that him that did that?
Look, Rendell.
His first punt was rough.
Schmidt had some rough punts. Like, and I don't, look, this is his first practice in college. Like, I'm going to give the kid a pass because I've seen what he's done, like at these clinics and stuff that I've gone to. Like, the kid can just boom the.
Isn't that what he was initially known for?
Yes.
Was as a big leg punter?
As a punt, he would kick at 55 with a 5.0 hang without even trying. And he kicked one today that I think went 1,000 yards in the air and went 10 yards forward. Like, it went straight up and came straight down.
It went up, got some chemtrails on it, and then came back down.
Yeah, 10 yards from him, not from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but not by much. Not by much. He looked a little nervous. Like, the ball wasn't hitting off of his foot every time. Like, there was one that he hit it. I said it. You could hear it because it hit off his shin. Like, the lower part of your foot, like the lower part of your shin near your foot. That's not where you want to kick a ball.
No, not at all.
I joked to Vince. I said, I know the sound of that because I played D3 football. I heard that sound a lot when you don't hit it right. And you don't hear that a lot from like D1 kickers, but
because it went into the media, like it came over by us, like that one.
John Soto, you never heard that. You heard it flush off his foot every time a couple years ago. Like, he didn't have a great leg, but that kid was as consistent of a punter as I've seen in a long time.
Yes.
But just hear the same sound. With Eric today, sometimes you're like, whoom.
Yes.
And then the next time you're just like, I think he hit that off of his shin. It looked like he was nervous.
So nervous.
And you expect that day one, but he's going to be fine. But when he gets into one, dude, when he gets a hold of punts or kicks.
Yep.
Because I think he drilled the one that Aeneas ran back and caught, right?
Yeah,
I think that came off Eric Schmidt's foot, and you're like, okay, that's what you're talking about. But he's got a really strong leg. He's got to harness it. But man, that kid's got.
And I think he will. I really do think he will. I
like one. Like CJ Carr throwing 3 picks. I don't care.
Right.
Like, that's going to get better. I want to see that you have the talent to be good. And with Eric Schmidt, he's got a cannon.
Yes.
For a leg.
Yes.
Like, it reminded me of Spencer Schrader.
Yep.
Like, honestly, like just how explosive. But he actually gets it higher than Spencer does. Like, when it comes off the foot on field goals, Spencer kicked kind of line drives off of his foot. Eric gets it up. I mean, there's a couple of Vince. We thought one cleared the.
I thought it cleared the net. Which is well above the top of the uprights, by the way.
Yes.
And it was like a 35-yard kick.
It's been years since I've seen a kicker clear the net.
It was
going up. I thought he cleared the net.
Yes.
Like, he got he's got a strong leg. It's just like he's got a lot to harness. Hey, Trev, I know there was they were working on punt coverage and punt coverage today. But they had returners back there as well. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you saw from who was back there and just kind of a couple observations from that as well before we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. They were trying out 3 different guys back there. And to Brian's point, they were predominantly working on punt coverage. So I think that there were some players on punt coverage that I think are also kind of viable options in the return game. But the 3 guys that we saw back there today fielding punts was Jaden Greathouse, which is a pretty cool touch. Aeneas Williams back there as well. And then Dallas Golden, a true freshman who that's somebody that I know Brian has been very high on this offseason of you got to find him a role, whether it's too deep on defense, rotating into the nickel, or make him a return guy, especially he's just one of those kids that needs the football in his hands. And those 3 guys back there, I think they all kind of played a little bit of a different role, which is what I like, the diversity in the type of returners. I think Jaden Greathouse back there is your kind of all reliable. The way that we've talked about how the punt return game has changed, a lot of it is just it's difficult to set up returns now because of how coverage units have changed. compared to what they were, 10, 15 years ago. I think Jaden Greathouse is back there, could be your kind of old reliable guy. He's always going to field it, but athletic enough to where if he was going to attempt to return, he'd be good. Brian, what do you got?
No, go for it.
And then Dallas Golden, I think, is also back there kind of to offset. Like, if you are able to set up a return, I think he's going to be one of your most electric playmakers back there with the ball in his hands. And I think Aeneas Williams is somewhere the buffer in between.
I think to be a good punt returner in today's game, you got to do two things well. One is obvious. You got to catch the ball. Number two is you got to be able to make people miss right away.
Yep.
And that's something I think Jaden Greathouse is surprisingly really good at. And we saw that last year. And I think it makes sense. And I think that's also something that Dallas Golden brings to the table. So I was pleased to see both of them back there. We did not see Will Pauling back there. I think we will in the future. I think the reason we didn't see Will Pauling back there is because they were working on punt coverage, and he's part of the punt coverage team as well.
Right.
So I think we'll also see him back there. But yeah, it was interesting, Trev. Like, you could see the different, like the way they attacked it. But Jaden Greathouse and to me, Jaden Greathouse and Dallas Golden both looked really good. Like they because you want range as a punt returner, meaning you can get to the ball. I mean, it's one thing to catch it when it's at you, but can you get to it?
Because you don't want it bouncing around.
Right.
That's you want to talk about
once it hits the ground, it's usually not good things happening for your team.
Correct.
It's not usually nothing good happens. Maybe nothing bad happens, but that gets dangerous. But yeah, that's what I liked from both Jaden and Dallas today, Trev, is I thought they showed a lot of range getting to the ball. And there was a couple that they had no shot at because you're like, he ain't getting to that unless he runs a 4.15 40. He ain't getting to that one because that one's up near the line of scrimmage. But and it was also a little bit tricky because there was like 30 guys down there because they were working on the coverage team, trying to maneuver around all those guys. But I do think we'll also see Will Pauling at some point in time as well. But those three all back there made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to see those three guys back there.
Yep.
But because I think, again, like with Aeneas, he can catch the ball and he can make people miss. So I thought that was interesting. I'm also I wish we were able to see a kick return practice because I'm very curious to see the kick return. We didn't see kick returners at all last year in practice.
Nope. Because
I'm very curious, like, who's going to be part of that? Yeah.
I want to mention one more little tidbit from special teams, and that is that Tyler Buckner was the starting holder for field goals, and Teddy Rizak was the backup holder for field goals. So number 10, not number 26 anymore. It's number 10. And I don't believe, is there another 10 on the roster? Are we going to have to do the fake field goal?
Logan Thomas.
Anymore? Logan Thomas. I don't think he's going to be holding. So I think we're okay on the double number situation from
a slightly different body type than what Tyler Buckner
just a little
is.
Bit. Just slightly different.
I'm with you. Like, seeing people with the same number could get kind of confusing. I don't think I'm going to confuse Logan Thomas for Tyler Buckner anytime soon.
No, I don't think so either.
It's a little tougher than the Chris Salerno, Tyler Buckner things last year.
Yeah, 100%. So did a good job. There was no missed snaps. There was no missed holds that we could tell. Everything looked like clockwork on both teams, on both the first team and the second team. So that was good. But I just want to throw that out there. It looks like Tyler Buckner is going to end up being the holder this year. And because I'm sure that they've been working on it all summer. We talked about that with Noah Burnett and making sure that those guys are working all summer and getting that operation down, and it looked good. I mean, the operation itself looked pretty good today, so that was a good thing to see after the spring. So
who was doing, was it primarily Joseph Vinci that was doing the number, and then was Andrew Cross with the number twos as the snappers? Okay, I forgot to look for that today, so that's
you can always count on me to pick up the special team stuff. I got you.
Vinci's got he gets back there with some zip.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know who that was, but I just noticed the first team, the guy at the first team was getting it back there with some good zip.
And he wasn't
he ranked the number one? Wasn't he ranked the number one long snapper coming out of high school?
Yep.
Andrew Cross is a pretty good snapper too.
Oh, there was no issues with the operation today.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good too.
There was no issues.
Yeah.
So
snapping was really good. Who was the number two? Who'd you say the number two holder was?
It was
Rizak.
Rizak.
Okay.
It was Rizak. Yep. And I had heard Rizak was really gunning for that spot. Like, he really wants to be the holder. So that's awesome that he's.
I can see it. Long athletic guy can do. Yeah.
100%.
I mean, I get why the NFL does it the way they do it. I've just always liked having a receiver or quarterback back there in case something goes bad.
Sure.
And just and then also gives you some fake opportunities. They're going to make those teams think twice about coming full block on you.
Yeah.
That's how I've always felt. But
I remember
biased.
I remember in 06, Jeff Samardzija was the holder. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I
ran in a
that.
fake touchdown against Purdue, or a fake field goal against Purdue for a touchdown. I remember that. Yeah.
I forgot that. Look at you, Trev.
Look at you guys with the pulls. Vince pulling out the DJ Fitzpatrick, Trev pulling out the Jeff Samardzija. I'm loving this right now, y'all. Y'all are making me. I'm like a proud papa right now. You guys pulling out this history stuff. Lou would be so proud of y'all right now, man, if he was listening. So,
that's
good
fantastic.
stuff. That's good stuff.
Well,
we did have a super chat, Vince. So when we get to that, before we get over here,
100%.
We got one from Chen Boat. Happy 34th birthday to my brother Alex. Thanks for all you do. Brian and IB staff will be at the USC game. Hope to see y'all there. We will be doing a tailgate for the USC game. That's for darn sure. But happy birthday, Alex. 34, man. How nice would it be to be 34? Like,
when was that?
Trev's probably thinking like, wait till I'm 34. We're missing 34. You know, it's just. But happy birthday, Alex. Appreciate your super chat, my dude. And love the IB hoodie.
Yeah, man.
It's such a comfortable hoodie. Vince wore his today.
I had it on today.
Yeah,
yes,
it was very, very comfortable hoodie. But I appreciate you, man, very, very much for that super chat. And happy birthday to your brother, Alex.
Oh, 34. All single-digit kids back then.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right.
I didn't have any kids back then.
That's true. All right, so that's going to do it for our practice recap, everybody. That's the one full practice that we're going to get unless we are blessed in the future with a full practice, but I'm not holding my breath. But
they did that a couple years ago.
They did. That's
we
why
we thought we were going to have 4 periods, and then they were like, hey, why don't you guys go ahead and stay the whole time? We're like,
that was weird. That was wild. I remember that. It was like, oh, no, you know what? You guys can stay. Wait, what?
Yeah. Thank you. I hope they do that again this year.
Great.
I'm not holding my breath, but it'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Nice.
So thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it. We will have a bunch of partial practices here coming up, and we will be talking about those as well. So you want to stay locked in and stay tuned for that. And then also make sure you stay locked in to the premium message board, boards.irishbreakdown.com. There's all kinds of good stuff over there. More detailed practice reports coming as well. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. Some stuff that we purposely didn't get to on the YouTube channel and on the podcast because we want to save it for our premium message board subscribers. And there's going to be some good stuff over there. So definitely want to check that out. And, but no, we seriously appreciate everybody hanging out. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell.
Be excited, folks. If you're not fired up about today's practice, you're being led astray. Today was a great day for Notre Dame. It was a fun day for Notre Dame.
This is so true. It was not all doom and gloom like some people want you to think. So,
or I should say how some people are taking certain things. We don't know if someone's reporting negative. It could just be how people are taking certain things. But
yes,
be excited. It was a fun day. This is a really we thought what was when Trev did the show that we did, like, is this team as talented as we think they are?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one day, but today you're like, okay, yeah. Question answered. You know, it's like yes, they are.
Yeah,
yes, they are
for sure. And then of course, stick around at 5:00 is IB Nation Sports Talks. I don't even know what the new name is. It's Sports Beat, WSBT, all of that. So you want to check that out with Sean. I'll be on there with Jesse, and we're going to talk about practice and all kinds of other good stuff as well. So definitely check that out. So for Trevor and Brian, I'm Vince, and we will talk to you next time on the Irish Breakdown Podcast.